Hello everyone, welcome to What If Naruto Was Neglected Child of Minato and Kushina and Gained Chaos Powers and Become Angel Island's Guardian Part 1. Before we start, please go support King Sora 3 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. Chapter 5. Chaos 4. The fated meeting of old friends and the massacre of Twilight Island. Chapter cover. Naruto and Tyrios clashed, their fists and foreheads touching each other, with transparent chaos and order overlapping them from behind. Naruto had a snarl and was surrounded by blue water, and Tyrios had a dark smirk on his face as he was surrounded by black water, showing they were transforming. Above them were shocked Kia and the Chaos Warriors, each in their own panels. Alt. Cover. Naruto and Kia stood back to back as they looked at each other with smiles present on their faces. Chaos and Tycho's spirits were above them, looking up with their eyes closed. Naruto continued to surf across the sea towards the purple light in the distance. His eyes narrowed as he saw the light slowly vanish. It may have vanished, but he already knows where to go. That strange feeling from before. There was no mistake. He recognized that feeling as it happened to him before. It was just like that night when he met Chaos and inherited his powers. That's impossible, the Guardian said to himself, eyes narrowing in thought. The chaos energy I'm sensing is almost similar to Chaos, but this feeling. Well, there's no doubt that power he felt was quite similar to his own, there was a difference. Whereas Naruto's was warm and gentle like Chaos before he gave in to his anger, this one was more dark and sinister. There's no other words to describe it other than that. Naruto's eyes widened further as he sensed 5 more chaos energy signatures suddenly popping out at the same time, and they were all at the same island. Just what the hell is going on? Why is he sensing more chaos energy? The demigod gave a yell in pain as he felt the same pain from earlier, only this time it was stronger than before. In fact, the sudden weakness became so strong it made him stop surfing the ocean and fall on his knees, all the while holding his chest in pain. What's going on with me? Naruto asked as he grit his teeth and took heavy breaths. He was then assaulted by different images of chaos, but the bizarre thing was that he was in different colors in those images. Red, white, green, turquoise, yellow and purple before shifting to black. The colors actually matched the same as the chaos emeralds. Once the mental images were gone and done, along with the pain, Naruto took deep calming breaths and stood up on the water. Okay. Alright. I'm fine. Whatever was happening to him, the cause was because of those strange energies over there. He has to hurry up and investigate this before they even try to leave. I got a bad feeling about this. The demigod said, before traveling faster to his destination. The waves had died down, and the wind had returned to normal. But those alone didn't stop the fear and dread Kia and her friends were feeling right now. It also didn't help that gray clouds started to appear in the sky. The children just looked on in stunned silence. The pillar of darkness had vanished a few seconds ago. So right now they were staring at the island, or to be more precise, they were staring at the giant hole that pillar of darkness made in the sky before the clouds covered it. Cold sweat ran down the children's face as they nervously gulped down their spit. "Gee guys," Kion whispered fearfully. Hiroku said nervously. "What the hell just happened?" "I don't know." Anna said, her whole entire body trembling. "KK Kia?" Zara asked in a scared whisper, turning to her best friend as she grabbed her shoulder and shook her. "Hey Kia, what's going to happen now?" Kia didn't say anything as she was visibly trembling in fear. Such powerful darkness. The darkness she felt from order earlier was already strong enough. But now? That feeling she felt right then and there, that was on a whole new completely different level. She can still sense Order's presence down there, but at the same time, it wasn't him. If she had to describe it, then it would definitely be like strongly similar to the boy she saw when he had transformed into chaos to fight that monster. Which means, "We were followed," Kia said in a low tone, but her friends heard her. "Someone followed us down there and released Order." "What? We were followed?" Kion asked in shock. "But how?" "Nobody was behind us, I made sure of it," Roku exclaimed. "Kia, how come you couldn't sense them?" Anna asked, fearful of what was going on. "I don't know, I think they were hiding their presence or something," Kia answered as her eyes slowly widened. "Like a ninja?" "A ninja?" Kion asked. "But that's impossible, our island is far away from the shinobi nations, there's no way a shinobi would be here," Roku said, gritting his teeth nervously. "We're not even on the map, damn it." "It's true. A long time ago, one of the villagers left to travel the world and discovered the 5 great shinobi nations. When they came back, they brought various things from the nations, even a map, and Twilight Island wasn't on that map. Which means they didn't have to worry about the shinobi coming to their island. Well, until now that is." Zara bit her thumb nervously. "And if they did follow us, then that means they must have overheard the message the ancient left. So then whoever is down there right now released Order as soon as we leave," Kion said. "Then that means," Kia's eyes widened in fear. She turns to her friends, an alarmed look on her face. We have to hurry back to the main island now. Everyone jumped from her yell, but Roku and Kyon immediately got to work and started to row their boats to the main island. Luckily they were almost there thanks to the strong waves pushing them forward. The moment they landed on the beach, they saw many of the villagers in a panic. They even saw the armed warriors getting ready for battle, Kia's father amongst them. Father Kia called out as she and everyone got off the boat and were running to their parents. Kia Kwan quickly ran to his only child and hugged her. Thank the ancients you're okay. Where were you? We found a hidden laboratory over at the island next door. There was something in there that the ancients created a long time ago, but kept it locked away and for good reasons. Someone followed us in there and released one of them. We think it's a ninja, Kia explained, as her father's eyes widened in shock, along with those who heard her. What? A ninja is here on the island. That's impossible. How did they find our island? Hell, how did they even get here? While the people were talking amongst themselves about the mysterious ninja who came to their island, Kwan's eyes moved to the other island, eyes narrowed. Kia. This ninja, what did they release in that lab? Kwan asked, his grip tightening on his sword. It was, boom. A loud thunder crash is heard, making everyone look up at the darkened sky as they see a brief flash of lightning. Everyone tensed up again when they heard the loud crash again before multiple lights crashed on the beach as a large cloud of sand and dust was in the air. What in the world? Kwan asked in confusion before he shook his head and turned to his warriors. Men, prepare for battle, everyone else return to your homes now. Listening to their chief, the villagers quickly ran away in a panic, with some of the men going with them for their safety and protection. Kwan then noticed his daughter and her friends hadn't moved from their spot, making him call out to them. That also includes you and your friends, Kia, the village chief told her sternly, before noticing how they were trembling with fear, especially Kia, since she was shaking and backing away. The fact that his daughter was acting like this already told him that whatever it was that landed was both dangerous and powerful. No, Kia whispered as she saw their silhouettes become clear in the dusty cloud. She saw one of them raise their hand at them, making her eyes widened as she realized what they were going to do. Watch out. Before anyone could make a move, a large fireball shot out from within the dusty cloud and was sent towards everyone as they cried out in alarm. Kwan was already prepared as an energy shield appeared from his wrist and he managed to block the ball of flame. He remained in place as the ball of fire continued to try and push him. He let out a yell as he knocked the fireball into the air, watching as it exploded in a large burst of flames. Everyone looked shocked at the display of power. They knew that if that fireball were to hit them, they would die an instant death because of its powerful heat. Kia looked on with widened eyes before she looked back to where the river silhouette stood, only to gasp in shock as the cloud vanished to reveal their form. Everyone else looked at the creatures with shocked expressions, though Kia's friends still looked on in fear. Kia Kwan whispered to his daughter. Are they ones the ancients created? Kia nodded her head at her father's question. They're the Chaos Warriors. First, and I the Fire Chaos. A lifeform with a body made of bright red fire-like energy, which is composed of dark red rock-like armor. His head was in the shape of a fireball with no facial features except for his eyes, which were pupilless orange. His two fin-like protrusions on the back of his head were in the shape of flames. He also has a tail with the tip on fire. In his hand, he had a large single-edged greatsword. The blade is black while the edges are red. From the hilt all the way to the center of the blade is a crystal stream of fire which seems to be glowing. The hilt of the blade is yellow, while the handle is wrapped in a red cloth. Next is Vayu the Wind Chaos, his body made of turquoise wind-like energy that has green wind patterns over it. The fin-like protrusions on the back of his head were in the shape of mini tornadoes, and his pupilless eyes were colored blue. He had a pair of small wings attached to his arms. In his hand is a small and sleek green lance. The blade has an eagle face motif featuring teeth-like zigzag patterns and a turquoise crystal. The lance also has a green cloth attached to it. A third is Frost the Ice Chaos. Her body is composed of white ice-like energy as faint cold smoke is seen around her. Her protrusions looked like they were frozen solid as they're sharp, pointy and ice blue. Her eyes were pupilless dark blue. In her hands, she held a scythe. The handle is colored dark purple with crystals decorating it from the joint to the bottom. The joint itself has a single white reptilian eye in its center. It also has a piece of the blade coming out the other side, which has a white crystal embedded into it. The top edge of the blade is white and the inner piece is black. The bottom of the blade, starting from the inner section, has a crystal ice blue edge going across the blade to meet the end of the top edge. The fourth is Xenon the Thunder Chaos. His body is composed of yellow lightning-like energy. His head had two small antennas with electricity dancing between them. Both of his fin-like protrusions were zigzagging, making them look like lightning bolts, and his eyes were pitch black. He wore twin lightweight claws. The gauntlets were in the shape of a yellow dragon, while the steel claws themselves were in the shape of thunderbolts. They were purple in the inner layer, while the outer layer was yellow, with yellow cracks in the center. The claws also had electricity dancing around them. The claws had yellow crystals embedded into them. And lastly, there's Gaia the Earth Chaos. Her body is composed of green earth plant-like energy. Her protrusions had a leafy appearance, and her eyes were brown. Her weapon of choice is an axe. The axe looks like it had rocks and stones covered in hard metal, while the handle seems to be made out of vines and woods. In the center of the axe lies a green crystal that seems to be glowing. They're all here. Kia said nervously, stepping back once more. But where are Order and the shinobi? Men get ready, Quan yelled out as the men got into battle stance. He himself gets into a stance, not taking his eyes off the enemy. Kia, you and your friends go with the villagers to somewhere safe. But Father Kia was about to argue, but was interrupted by her father as he glared at her sternly. Do not argue with me now, do what I said and go, Quan ordered. I'd listen to him if I were you. Everyone's eyes widened. They tried to search for the voice but couldn't, though Kia was the only who did as she looked up and her eyes widened in disbelief. There floating in the air was order. Everyone, except for Kia and her friends, were shocked by seeing the black humanoid-like creature. The children themselves looked on with fearful yet confused expressions as they stared up at the black chaos, which was understandable. He looked like Order, but why does he look different? Kia just narrowed her eyes in fear and couldn't stop her hands from trembling. Whoever that is, he now looked exactly like Naruto when transformed into his Chaos Zero form. His whole body was deep black and he has a muscular build similar to Naruto's. He also has human features on his face, such as normal and narrow-looking eyes, a nose and a mouth. His eyes were glowing a sinister dark purple. His protrusions faded to dark purple at the end, while the flaps were black as well. His hands were dark purple as well as they combined into his black forearms, with his feet being similar. Purple chaos energy begins to gather in Order's hands. Because things are going to get messy. Order launched a beam of energy at the people below him, making them cry out as they were blown away by the attack. Kia was blown further back as she had used her spirit energy to conjure up a barrier to protect her and her father. Her back hit the pineapple tree as she fell to the ground, hitting her head, which knocked her out. Her friends cried out in alarm as they ran to her. Kia Quan shouted in alarm at his daughter. He growled and sent an angry glare at Order before he grabbed a spear and threw it at him, yelling all the while. The black chaos saw the weapon coming, yet he didn't move from his spot. As the spear made contact with his chest, Quan smirks, thinking he got him. Order looks down at the spear in his chest with a raised eyebrow before taking it out and snapping it. He looked at Quan, seeing the smirk on his face disappear. Incredible. It would seem that ordinary weapons don't work against him when he's in this form. HMPH. He didn't have time to play with that old fool, so he vanished. Quan's shocked expression turns into an angered growl. That black one just now looked at him as though he was trash. Trash. He will make that creature regret looking at him like that, but first he'll start with his companions. Attack, the village leader called out as his bracelet on his wrist began to glow and red markings appearing over his body. He charges at the enemy, with his warriors following his lead as glowing marks were on their bodies as well. The Chaos Warriors themselves charged at the incoming army, while Order stood from on top of the tallest building on the island, watching it all happen. So, this is the power of the Chaos Warriors. The power of chaos. Not bad. The black chaos looks out at the ocean, a smirk present on his face as he waits for him to come. Now, we wait for you. But Order was waiting for the main guest, and I led the assault as he pulled his head back and released a deadly beam of fire in front of the army, making them stop dead in their tracks. What? Quan yelled in disbelief before his eyes widened as he saw an outstretched hand reaching to his face before he rolled out the way. Aya. Quan's eyes widened again as he turned to the scream, only to see nearly half of his men get frozen into ice, while some had shards coming out through their bodies, making them fall dead. Frost stood in the center of it all, her scythe in hand as she twirls it around her hand. She looked ahead and saw more men charging at her. Half of them didn't even get close to her, as two giant rock pillars came out from the ground and came together, crashing into each other, with the men caught in the middle of them as blood splattered all over. The ice chaos looked to the side and saw Gaia was the cause of that attack, seeing her axe was slammed to the ground and was glowing. She turned back to the men and saw they were still charging at her, despite that some of their comrades had died right then and there. She twirls her scythe once more before she charges at them, throwing the weapon at them. Some managed to avoid it while others weren't so lucky. Gaia changed her axe to a shield and blocked the multiple sword strikes from the men that were in front of her as they gave out angry cries. You damn beast, you will die for what you've done. After blocking one last time, Gaia punched the ground as the area shook, knocking the men that surrounded her off their feet. She grabbed one of the men by his face, making his eyes widen as her eyes glowed green. Small pointy rocks came out of his head as they each landed a hit on the downed men, and they lay dead. She released a man's face before she charged at another group. Zenon was moving at lightning-fast speed as he slashed each and every one of the men that surrounded him. He literally turned himself into a lightning bolt as he appeared in front of a warrior, killing him and moving on to the next. However, after killing one last time, one brave warrior got the jump on him from behind and managed to grab him. "I got him now, attack Aya." This scream echoed out as he got electrocuted by the lightning chaos. It was so bad, his eyeballs exploded due to taking too much and he was blown back, falling into the ocean. The Twilight Warriors looked scared, but that didn't prepare them for what happened next. Zenon raised his claws and fired off thunderbolts at each and every warrior that was there, making them cry out as they got scorched. Quan, the village chief, was watching all this happen in shock and fear. The ancients above, he whispered fearfully before he heard the sound of women and children. No, he turned to them, and his heart dropped to the pit of his stomach as he saw the horrors before him. Those chaos warriors were attacking the women and children. Frost had appeared in front of a mother holding her baby before she fired an ice beam at them and froze them solid. She then used her scythe to cut them in half. Vayu used his lance and spun it around really fast, causing a green tornado to suddenly come out and suck those who were nearby, which were the retreating men, women and children, along with anything else that was there, like animals. Everyone screamed as they were getting sucked into the tornado, with the men trying to throw something at Vayu to stop him, which could only do so little. Once they were completely sucked in, the wind chaos raised the lance up to the sky before he stopped spinning his weapon while the tornado kept going. He jumped inside the tornado while it remained where it was. The people who were trapped inside screamed louder and blood could be seen swirling inside the tornado and the screams stopped altogether. The tornado evaporated with Vayu floating in the air. But that didn't stop Quan from covering his mouth in horror and disgust as he saw guts and limbs falling from where the tornado disappeared. He watched as Vayu suddenly threw his weapon at someone, a little girl who looked no older than 5. No, Quan cries out as he dashed to the girl to save her, only to get pounced on by an eye and thrown away. The island chief stood up, sword drawn. Filthy beast. The pained cry reached his ears, making his eyes widen in horror. He looked to the little girl, and much to his agony, he saw Vayu's weapon pierce through her stomach and she fell to the ground, with tears of pain streaming down her face. "It hurts, mommy, daddy, help me, it hurts," the girl cries out. She reached her hand out towards her parents, who were lying dead in front of her. She coughed out blood as she felt the weapon leave her body, which made her hand fall to the ground as the light in her eyes died. Nearby, Quan watched on with tears of pain and rage in his eyes as he closed them and looked down. "You bastards," he said in a shaken tone as he kept hearing the cries of everyone. All his life, he knew every single person on this island. From those who died of old age, to the youngest newborn. He remembered all the good times he had with them. The happy times, bad times, sad times and even angry times. All of those precious memories, his home and the very people whom he loves and vows to protect are all dying. "How dare you?" Quan slowly turns to Anai. "How dare you and your kind come here? Now I understand why the ancients sealed you. You've attacked my child." His bracelet starts to glow. "Destroyed our sacred home." His tattoos appear glowing around his body. "And worst of all, you're killing my people." The bracelet glows even brighter than before as more tattoos appeared around his body. "As the chief of Twilight Island, I will never forgive such actions." Anai didn't say anything. All he did was hold his sword in a reverse grip and got into a stance. Quan took out his sword, which has an intense red aura around it. "Prepare to die, you damn monster." He gave a battle cry and dashed at Anai, who did the same thing. Once they were within reach, their blades clashed with each other. Kia's paw. Darkness. All I could see was darkness. But why was it so dark? Despite seeing nothing but darkness, I can hear something. It sounded like explosions. What was going on? Why am I hearing so many explosions? But it wasn't just explosions. I also hear screaming. There were so many people screaming. Family members, friends, lovers. I can hear them crying out. I can't feel so many emotions. So much pain, agony, grief, sorrow, fear, death. It hurts. It hurts so much to feel all these emotions at once. Please make it stop. Somebody, please stop it. I want it to stop. Pia, please stop it, stop it. Pia, wake up. Make it stop, 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 make it stop. Pia, regular pav. Pia gave out a startled gasp as she sat up, breathing heavily. She continued this for a couple of seconds before she felt someone bring her into a hug. "Pia, it's okay, you're safe now, calm down. Just take easy, steady breaths." After hearing the familiar soft and gentle voice, Kia followed the instructions and started to calm down. She took slow and steady breaths as she looked up and saw her mother's smiling face. "Mama?" "Yes, baby. I'm here." Nala brought her daughter's head to her chest as gently as she could, prompting her to do the same. Kia. The mother and daughter released each other from their embrace, giving Kia the chance to look around. Her grandmother and her friends were there smiling happily at her, though some tears were in their eyes. "You had us worried, child," Sarabi said as she hugged her granddaughter. Kia nodded as a soft smile appeared on her face. "Yes. I'm sorry, everyone." She apologized just as Sarabi released her. Boom. Everybody jumped from the sudden explosions and the room that they were in shook. What's going on? Kia asked as she stood up before flinching as she held her head. Whoa, easy Kia, Zara told her as she grabbed her best friend. You're still hurt from that blow to the head. Blow to the Kia stopped as memories of what happened earlier flashed to her head. The Chaos Warriors. She grabbed Zara and shook her comically. What happened? Where are we? And is Papa okay? Kia hold up, Roku exclaimed as Kia stopped her shaking, while Zara's eyes swirled. After you got knocked out, we took you into one of the safe havens on the island. We ran into your mom and grandma on the way. As for your father, Nala looked down, a worried look on her face. He's still out there fighting those monsters. Kia gasped. Her father is out there fighting them? They have no idea how dangerous the Chaos Warriors are. We got to go out there. No Kia, it's too dangerous. Nala said sternly. But Mom, the Chaos Warriors are too powerful for them, Kia explained. We have to get everyone out of here before it's too late. We know, child, and we can't. Sarabi said sadly. Those Chaos Warriors destroyed our ships. No way. Kia's eyes widened. Why, you can't be serious. It's true. Kyon said, looking down. I saw it with my own eyes. I just don't understand. Anna said softly before she started to tremble. Why are they doing this? Why are they causing all this destruction? Everything is being destroyed, our homes, our schools, the people, the animals. Tears soon fell from her eyes while at the same time she fell to her knees and hugged herself. They're destroying everything on the island, so why? Why are they doing this? Everyone looked at Anna, nearly startled by her outburst, before they looked down sadly as they didn't know the answer. Roku quickly went to her and tried to calm her down. Damn it, Kia thought as she bit her lip to keep her from yelling. This is all her fault. If only they had turned away and left, they wouldn't have led whoever followed them into the hidden lab. But still, even if they did leave, that person would have still gone down anyway and unleashed the Chaos Warriors. Suddenly, Kia's eyes widened in surprise as she sensed a presence that was heading towards the island at breakneck speed. This presence was similar to the Chaos Warriors, but unlike the dark negative feelings she felt from them, this one was warm, gentle, and had an incredible fierce determination the likes of which she never felt before. It was something that was very familiar to her, which brought a happy smile to Kia's face. He's coming. Since she said it so low, nobody heard her, except for Zara, who was close to her. He's coming. Huh? Who's coming? Zara asked, which caught everyone's attention. Naruto, Kia said happily, making everyone's eyes widen. He's almost here to the island. He's coming here? Kyon asked in surprise. No way, Anna exclaimed, smiling in excitement. Yes. He's coming to save us. Kia said in relief, which brought smiles of relief on everyone's faces. This is great, Roku said happily. With Naruto here, he'll be able to beat that order, the Chaos Warriors and that shinobi. That might be true. I'm actually dying to see what he can do. Everybody jumped at hearing Order's voice as they looked around, though Kia looked at the entrance. She saw a black puddle coming in from under the door. There, Kia yelled as everyone turned to look at the entrance. The black puddle slowly began to rise up and began to take a form. A form which made everyone back away from in fear, except for Kia, who stood her ground and clenched her fists. Found you? Order said with a dark smirk on his face. Who are you? Kia asked, glaring at him. And don't you dare call yourself Order. I know you're not him. You look exactly like Naruto when he turns into chaos. Order stared at the girl with a slightly raised brow. Well, looks like someone is well informed. That's right, I'm not Order. I'm the big bad shinobi your friend here was talking about. Everyone tensed up as he said that, all of them taking a glance at one another. You didn't answer my question, Kia growled at him. Tell me who you are and how you found this island. Nala whispered to her daughter as she grabbed her daughter's shoulder to pull her back. She didn't budge. I'm not telling. The shinobi said, making the chief's daughter grit her teeth. Tell me, Kia. Zara said nervously, wanting her best friend to back down as well but was ignored. If he had pupils, this would be the part where Order would have rolled his eyes. Now why would I go and spoil the surprise without the main guest here? Speaking of which, he sent a look towards Kia, who tensed up. You're gonna have to come with me. Everyone gasped in shock and fear before they quickly got in front of Kia, who looked surprised. Stay away from my daughter, Nala yelled. She's not going anywhere with you, Sarabi agreed. You should be ashamed for what you're doing. That's right, Zara nodded, glaring at the black chaos. If you want Kia, then you're gonna have to go through us. Roku agreed as Kyon and Anna nodded their heads in agreement. Instead of getting annoyed, Black Chaos simply looked amused. Did they really think they would stop him? Heh. He walked to Kia and everyone tensed. Back off. Roku's bracelet glowed purple and purple markings appeared on his body. He dashed at Order and sent a punch to him. However, instead of feeling a solid body, Roku went through Order and fell on the floor. What? The oldest teen asked as he and everyone else were wide-eyed from that display. He growled and got up before running at him, giving a battle cry. He jumps and does a spinning roundhouse kick to the Black Chaos's head, only for him to raise a hand and catch it before throwing him away as he hit a bunch of equipment and got slammed into a wall. Roku coughed out blood as the markings disappeared and his bracelet stopped glowing. Roku, everyone cried out. Ryukyon gave an angry cry as his bracelet glowed orange and markings appeared on his body. He took out a small knife, which was then charged with energy and charged at Order. No, Kyon, Kia cried out. With a blank face, Order simply grabbed Kyon's face and slammed him on the floor, knocking him out. He released Kyon's face and continued, now getting closer as the girls backed away into a wall. Kia was gritting her teeth as she looked at the unconscious Roku and Kyon. She looks to her mother, grandmother and her friends, seeing that while they were scared, they were still willing to protect her. She has to fight him by some time until Naruto comes. Get away from my family. Everyone gasped in shock as the sword came out through the Black Chaos's chest. Kia, Nala and Sarabi looked back and saw Quan there, his body having many cuts and some slightly burnt marks. Daddy dear Quan. Order didn't even react to the sword sticking out of his chest. He looks down at it, a blank expression on his face. He shook his head unamused. Hey old man. Didn't you pay attention earlier? That doesn't work on me. But I bet this does. A vicious grin appears on Order's ace, causing Kia's eyes to widen. Daddy get away from DHHHH. The big black water spike erupted from out of Quan's back. Everyone stared with wide shocked eyes and horrified eyes. Zara and Anna covered their mouths as tears gathered in their eyes, while Quan's family had tears falling from theirs. The spike retreated back to Order's body as Quan's body fell backward on the floor, his torso having a hole. Appa Kia screamed as she ran to her father to try and save him. But Order wouldn't allow that as he stretched his hand out and grabbed her by her neck. Gotcha. Order launched an energy blast at the ceiling, making a hole before leaping through it. Kia, everyone cried out. Just above the island, Order stopped and remained floating in the air. He turned his head to look at the struggling Kia. You bastard, let me go, the island princess cried out as she punched the arm gripping her neck. Who exactly are you? The shinobi asked curiously, ignoring the girl's struggle. I overheard your conversation down in that lab. Something about you being the reincarnation of someone named Tycho. Kia stopped struggling as her eyes widened. Order took notice of the silence and quickly deduced that this must be an important subject to talk about. Judging from your reaction and from what I can understand, this Tycho person must have come from the same world as Chaos and was reborn into you. Since she's connected with Chaos, doesn't that mean you share a connection with Naruto? That would explain how you know so much about him. Kia grit her teeth in anger at Order's smirking face. She was just about ready to punch his face before he forced her head down to make her look at the current state of her island. Take a look at your precious island. Kia, with no choice, looked and her eyes widened in horror at the sight before her. Her island, her home, is getting completely destroyed. Flames engulfed parts of the island, there were earth fissures and pointed rocks rising up the ground, ice needles that were slowly melting due to the intense heat, houses and stores were destroyed, the trees were blown out of the ground, and there were scorched marks everywhere. And the worst part. It was the hundreds of corpses that were on the ground, and Kia could see them all. She could see many people that she knew all her life dying in front of her. The people who helped her become who she is. Many nice men, women and children are all dead. She can also see some of them were missing limbs or the limbs themselves scattered all over the place. She even saw some of the Chaos Warriors separated as they were destroying everything, judging from the large explosions that seen. All in all, it was a massacre. A massacre she never expected to see just yet, and it was happening here on her peaceful island. She already saw something like this before in Tycho's memories when perfect chaos awakened and nearly killed all of the Echidna clan, and the sight of it scared her to the point she would have few nightmares about it. This was what it felt like to her. A very terrible realistic nightmare that makes you want to wake up from it and see that everything was back to normal. Everyone will be doing their daily routine, she will be hanging out with her friends, and she will be spending time with her family. But one problem. This wasn't a nightmare. This is reality. All of this is happening right before her eyes. Kia felt sick staring at all of those mangled corpses, and the smell only made it worse for her. But she puked her stomach out as it fell towards the ground. She continued to puke despite the fact she was floating in midair and was now being held by the back of her head. That's right. Take a good long look at this. Order said in a serious tone as tears fell from Kia's widened eyes. This is how the real world is. No sunshine, no rainbows. Only death, violence and war. You and everyone else may have lived in peace on this island, but that peace was shattered when the ancients created both Order and Chaos Warriors and had them sealed. Kia looked on as more tears fell from her almost lifeless eyes. She closed her eyes and then forcibly turned her to glare at Order, her eyes full of anger and hate. What? Are you angry at me? The Black Chaos asked. No, you hate me. That's fine. In the ninja world, there's nothing but war and hatred. Sure, there will come a time when there's peace, but what do you think will happen in a few years after that peace ends when people want more of everything, be it power, money or even conquest? We go back to fighting, killing, and hating each other over and over again. The three great ninja wars are prime examples of that. It's like we're trapped in a cycle that never ends. Kia's eyes widened from what he said. Hearing the ninja say that immediately made her remember about the wars in Tycho's world. As much as she really hates to admit it, he was right, and that made her grit her teeth. Tycho's grandmother strived to live in peace with the other clans, but after her death and Pachacamac became ruler, he led a series of wars just to expand their empire, and looked at what happened. He got himself and nearly his whole clan killed because of his greed and lust for power. You and your people may hate and blame me for coming here and ruining your island, Order continued as he stared at the destruction with an emotionless voice. But honestly, you all should put that hatred into those ancients. They may have helped you create your home and gifted you with their technology, but they're the ones who also created Order and the Chaos Warriors in the first place. It's because of them that everything you love is being destroyed right before your very eyes. Kia glared angrily at the transformed unknown ninja as the tears continued to rain down her cheeks. She watched as he pointed his hand out to the hideout where everyone was still hiding in. Kia's eyes widened as she saw black energy gather in his hand and realized what he was about to do with it. That also includes the people who you love most. Order said darkly. Don't, Kia pleaded softly before getting hysterical. Please don't do it, leave them alone. Sorry, nothing person. Bastard. POW. Order's eyes widened in shock as he felt a punch connect to his cheek, making him release Kia and get sent flying across the island. His eyes moved to see who hit him, and he saw a creature that looked exactly like him, only that he was blue and had a body made of water. That's the black chaos crashed into a mountain, making a cloud of dirt rise from where he landed. Kia let out a scream as she continued her descent towards the ground. Seeing that she was so high up in the sky, she knew that she wouldn't survive it. She closed her eyes and braced herself for the impact that would no doubt kill her until she felt someone catch her hand before pulling her into their arms, making her wrap her arms around that person's neck. Whoever it was that caught her managed to land safely on the ground. Hey. The angry voice from before, now soft and gentle, said to her. Are you okay? It was then Kia realized that she felt an aura that was familiar to her. An aura that was bright, warm and full of determination. Feeling it made her instantly open her eyes in surprise. She slowly looked up at her savior, and who she saw made tears of joy fall from her eyes. Huh? What's wrong? Her savior asked, panicking slightly at seeing her tears. He did look confused when he saw her cheeks turn pink and she had a smile on her face. It's you. Kia said in relief as she moved her hand and gently touched his cheek. You're finally here, Naruto. Earlier, Naruto's paw. Come on. I kept saying to myself as I moved faster and faster to that mysterious island. I was almost there, just a little more and I'll wait. Is that smoke? Why is there? My eyes widened in realization. The whole island is on fire. I moved faster towards the island so I could hurry and put the fire out using the red water from the ocean. Wait a minute. Red water? I asked in confusion as I looked down at the water and saw it had indeed turned red. That didn't make sense. Why was the blue water turning red like it was? No. Oh, please tell me that's not what I think it is. I stopped dead in my tracks and looked in horror as I saw mutilated human bodies in the water and on the beach. Oh God. I muttered in shock, remaining still as I continued to look around the area I was in. What the hell happened here? All my life, I never saw something so horrific as this. Well, true, I killed monsters before, but that was because they each kept spitting out human limbs just to try and scare me or threaten my family. This was a whole other level. This was a slaughter fest, like something from a horror movie. What sort of monsters would cause this much destruction to such a peaceful-looking island? I slowly walked to the beach, my eyes still widened in horror as I looked around. There were so many dead people lying around. Men, women, even kids. Looking much closer, it looked like they were attacked by something. Some people were frozen solid or had ice spikes going through their bodies, some were burned to a crisp. I don't even want to say any more than that, for what I'm seeing is so terrible. I felt something touch my feet, which made me go stiff once again. I slowly looked down and what I saw made me want to cry. It was a body. It was a small body. It was a small body that was holding a small toy with a burned pacifier next to its head. And there was a body of a woman next to it, looking as though she was reaching out for the small body to try and protect it. I found myself huffing as I stared at the bodies. This was too much. This was just an innocent mother and her baby. The baby? Why? Why would they do this? Why would someone kill a baby and their mother? They'll pay for this. I said in a very dark tone which I didn't care for. I swear on Chaos's name, I will find the monsters who did this and make them pay. It was then I sensed it. The negative chaos energy I felt from earlier, and it was coming from above me. I looked up and narrowed my eyes, seeing that there was someone up there above the island. I couldn't make out the appearance because of the black smoke, but I can see the figure's silhouette, which is obviously a boy. My eyes turned and I felt my anger rising further. Whoever that is, it was holding a girl by the back of her head as she tears falling from her eyes. was making her look at this carnage. The boy suddenly raised his hand up out of the smoke, showing it was black, to a building nearby. He soon started to gather. Oh no, no way, whoever this is, he was gathering chaos energy. He was the one who caused this. How did he get that power? Nobody in this world should know about chaos energy except for me. Thanks to my heightened hearing, I can hear the girl begging the creature to not fire its attack. He was gonna kill her loved ones. Few cracks formed underneath me and I charged at the creature, my fist already pulled back. Sorry. Nothing person. Bastard. POW. I sent a powerful sucker punch to that bastard's face and sent him across the sky and to the mountain region. I could see dirt rise from where the bastard landed. I turned back to the screaming girl and quickly stretched my hand out to grab her hand. I pulled her towards me as I held her in my arms and I felt her grab my neck. I landed on the ground softly. I glared up at could of dirt for a moment before looking down at the girl. Hey. I said to her as softly as I could. Are you okay? I watched as the girl slowly opened her eyes and then looked up at me, her eyes wide. I'm not gonna lie, but seeing her is making my heart feel so many emotions. There was happiness, joy, relief and a sense of familiarity. Why was I feeling like this? I saw the girl smile happily at me and then I saw the tears falling from her eyes. Oh man, she was crying, but why? She's not, or is she? Huh? What's wrong? I asked her. It's you. The girl said softly as she raised her hand and touched my cheek. You're finally here, Naruto. What? My eyes slowly widened in shock. This girl knows me. But how? I've never met. Hold on a second. There's something familiar about this girl. It's strange. I don't know her but at the same time, I feel like I do know her. I looked real closely at the girl I was holding, trying to see who she was and why she felt so familiar to me. At that moment, I suddenly had a brief vision of Tycho before the vision disappeared. What was that? Well. It's about time you showed up. That punch you gave me caught me by surprise. Hearing that voice and sensing an incoming attack made me quickly jump backwards to avoid a ball of negative chaos energy which made the girl in my arms scream in surprise. I looked up to the sky where the attack came from and what I saw froze me in shock. What are you supposed to be? Could you even blame me for reacting like this? They're floating in the air, staring down at us. Was me? No, it wasn't me. Whoever that person is, he looks exactly like me in my chaos form, except completely black with dark red pigmentation similar to a dark chow, and his eyes were dark red. Just who the hell is that guy? Regular Pav. Without taking his eyes off of his mysterious double, who likewise looked down at them with a smirk on his face, Naruto gently put Kia on her feet. She wobbled a little due to her falling from such a height before she calmed down and stood next to him, glaring up at Order. What do you know? In our current forms, we almost somewhat look alike. It's uncanny, wouldn't you agree, Naruto? Order asked as he landed in front of them. Naruto's eyes widened before they were narrowed. Who are you? How do you know my name? Where and how did you get this power? He demanded to know the questions that were in his head. Order stared at him and shook his head. You ask too many questions. Answer me. I will. But before I do, why don't we talk in our human forms? Black Chaos closed his eyes and in an instant, he changed back into his human form as black and violent wisps were emitting his form. He was a boy around Naruto and Kia's age, with the same body structure as Naruto, and he has a large scar on his cheek. He has short jet black hair, and his eyes were deep dark red color, just as the form he took. His outfit consisted of a dark red tank, black pants, and a black waistcoat. He also wore black shinobi-style sandals and had a headband with a symbol looking like lines. The boy placed his hands behind his back, smirking at the wide-eyed Naruto and Kia. You're like me. Naruto said before looking at his headband. And that headband, you're a shinobi? Yes, I am. The boy replied. How? I said let's talk in our human forms. The boy reminded Naruto. I want to at least see the face of the one whom I was destined to fight. Destined to fight? Kia asked in confusion. What was this shinobi talking about? Naruto was a bit confused by what he said as well, but he looked annoyed at the shinobi stalling. If he wants answers, he's gonna have to play this game, and once he gets his answers, he will take this guy down. So with that said, Naruto changed into his human form. There. Now answer my question. The boy however didn't say anything yet as he examined Naruto's form. HMPH. You look like you came out of the jungle. But then again, you have been living on an island far away from civilization, right? Naruto's eyes widened in shock that this ninja knew about his island. He gave him a glare so powerful that his pupils turned into slits. Kia looked away, a guilty expression on her face. My name is Tyrios. Tyrios Kura. Nice to officially meet you face to face. Tyrios Kura. Kia whispered. From what she knows, Kura means dark, while Tyrios means reflection of. Together, his name would mean dark reflection. Alright Tyrios, how did you get this power and how do you know about my island? Naruto asked. Tyrios frowns mockingly at Naruto. Wow. I told you my full name yet you still didn't give me yours, didn't your parents teach you better than that? The mention of his parents made Naruto scowl in anger at Tyrios, who immediately smirked. Oh? Touched a sensitive subject, didn't I? Naruto Kyosu now answer my question. It's because of order. Kia replied, making Naruto turn to her slightly, not taking his eyes off Tyrios. Boo. He's another chaos. Kia answered, a sad look on her face. That made Naruto do a double take as he fully turned to her with a shocked expression. What? Another chaos. What the hell did that mean? Was chaos cloned or something? When did this happen? Kia nodded as she glared at Tyrios. She wanted to give him the long story but decided to give him the short version. A long time ago, Order was once a normal Chow like Chaos was, but a group known as the Ancients took him from Angel Island when he was evolving into a light chaos. They what? Naruto asked. There were people on his island and they kidnapped a Chow during its evolution stage. When the Chow fully evolved, the Ancients filled it with energies from both the Master Emerald and Chaos's own, causing the light chaos to mutate and become a chaos, giving it his powers. Kia explained much to Naruto's horror. Wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. The guardian demigod said, trying to wrap his head around the situation. You're telling me that a group of people somehow made it to my island and they took energy from the Master Emerald and Chaos. Before Kia could reply they heard a chuckle which made them turn to Tyrios, who was looking amused at them. Oh, that wasn't all they took from Chaos. What do you mean? Naruto asked with a frown as he took a step towards him but stopped as he heard multiple booms and felt the island shake. What was that? It's them, Kia exclaims, pointing to the sky. Them? Naruto looked up and his eyes went wide, taking a step back in shock. No way. They're floating above them in a circular rotation where 5 chaos. Naruto couldn't believe what his eyes were seeing. He refused to believe it but it was right in front of him. Each of those chaos were different in color and appearance as they were composed of elemental-like energy. They also had weapons on them. Naruto said as the images he saw before flashed in his head. I can't believe it. They're actually real. He grit his teeth as he felt the intense feeling come back, making him touch his chest and fall on a knee. Naruto Kia gasped and ran to his side, holding him. What's wrong? My chest, Naruto said, trying to ignore the pain in his chest as he looked up at the 5 elemental chaos and could feel the glares he was receiving from them. Who are they? Meet the Chaos Warriors. Tyrios replied, looking up at them. You see, when the Ancients came to your island and found out that Chaos was going to die, they came up with a plan to create a clone of Chaos. Naruto's eyes went wide, his attention now focused on Tyrios. The Ancients put Chaos in a stasis pod where they examined him for his unique DNA structure and his energy. However, in order to create a clone, they needed to have an actual sample. So, what do you think they did? Tyrios asked, turning his attention to Naruto. The Guardian looked down and thought before his eyes went wide in shock, causing a smirk to appear on Tyrios' face. That's right. They took an amount of Chaos's essence and brought it back to this island where they conducted various experiments on them. However, the essence kept fighting back and they weren't able to create a clone. So instead of creating a clone, they decided to create another Chaos by using those Chow creatures. Tyrios explained. No, Naruto whispered, eyes filled with rising anger. They didn't. They did. Kia said softly. They went back to Angel Island and took several Chow eggs, along with the Chow that became Order. Naruto was now trembling as he bit his lips hard enough to draw blood. He looks up at the Chaos Warriors, eyes wide with disbelief. And what about them? How were they born? Some time after Order was created and the Ancients took him out to study him, those eggs they brought back had hatched. Tyrios continued. They knocked a canister that held Chaos's essence and another that was filled with large amounts of experimented Chaos energy. The essence split itself and went towards each of the Chow, while the Chaos energy filled up the entire lab, resulting in them absorbing it, becoming Chaos themselves. Naruto gasped as he looked up at the Chaos Warriors, eyes filled with shock, horror and disbelief. So that's why he was in so much pain earlier. Each of those elemental Chaos were a piece of him given actual form, thanks to those Chow they possessed. But wait a second, if they were Chaos's essence, then why weren't they water just like Chaos? There's a reason why they look like this. Kia said softly after noticing Naruto's expression. One day when Order was out, an old woman who studied witchcraft confronted him and the Ancients. We don't know why, but for some reason she was scared of Order and hated him. She threw a bottle of black potion at him, hoping that it would kill him, but instead it changed him. Naruto looked wide-eyed from that. After Order killed the old woman, everyone else became scared of him, even going so far as to attack him, which only made Order retaliate and kill them. Kia continued. The Ancients released the Chaos Warriors to battle Order, and they almost won. Until what? Naruto asked in a whisper. The potion that the old woman threw at the Order. It did much more than just change him. Tyrios took over the conversation. It also granted him new and incredible powers. As a result, he attacked the Chaos Warriors and granted them new powers as well, changing them into what you see before you. In other words, he corrupted them. Naruto glanced at the Chaos Warriors with a look of mild surprise. Order was the one who made the Chaos Warriors like this. Despite the horrifying situation they were in, he had to admit that it was pretty awesome. Together, Order and the Warriors turned this whole island into an all-out war zone. Destroying and killing everyone that was in their way. Tyrios once more said. But imagine our surprise when we learned that the Sage of Six Paths' youngest son was here and fought the Chaos Warriors by himself. The Sage of Six Paths, Naruto asked in shock. The guy who started the shinobi era. That guy's son was here and he fought them? That's right. Tyrios nodded. After beating the Chaos Warriors, one of the surviving ancients came in at the last second and had them sealed away. Order tried to escape, but the same ancient had taken all of his energy, leaving him in a state just like Chaos was before he met you, and he too was sealed away. Too much. All of this was too much for Naruto to take in. Order being a second Chaos, Chaos's essence having new forms and elemental powers, mysterious people being on his island. Yeah, this was too much for him too. But there is one thing he did understand though. The reason why Tyrios looks like him in Chaos form. The Guardian glares at Tyrios and stands up, causing Kia to stand up as well. It was you. You were the one who released the order. Naruto said more than asked. Yes, I released order. Just like you in Chaos, me and him had formed a special bond. Tyrios said with a small smirk. Now, like you, I have ascended beyond a shinobi, no, beyond a human. Did you also decide to release the Chaos Warriors and cause all this destruction? Naruto asked in anger, gesturing to the many bodies of the innocent lives taken. Killing all of these innocent people. Why? What was the purpose of this? Kia wanted to know as well as she tried her very best not to look at the corpses around them. Tyrios' smirk completely vanished as a dark look appeared on his face, and his eyes turned lifeless. Memories of his childhood once again flashed through his head, making him clench his fists. Revenge. Tyrios said, his voice emotionless, causing the two teens to silently gasp from his answer. I wanted to get my revenge on those who have wronged me in my past, but because of the condition I was in before meeting Order I couldn't do it. What do you mean by that? Kia asked. That is none of your concern. Tyrios said. He then closed his eyes. Also, I didn't release the warriors on purpose. To be honest, it was never my intention to release them. That both surprised and confused Naruto and Kia. What? Naruto asked. When Order became one with me, the increase of power was so great that it destroyed the lab we were in, including their tubes. Tyrios explained himself, opening his eyes. I guess you would call it an accident. An accident? You're telling us that it was just an accident that the Chaos Warriors were released? Kia growled. Do you really expect us to believe that? It's your choice if you want to believe me or not. I speak the truth. Tyrios said. Kia grit her teeth. She wanted to deny what he said. To blame him for unleashing the Chaos Warriors. But she knew that he was telling the truth. The power she felt was so great that it made the very ocean itself move wildly. So of course, it would also destroy the lab they were in. Tyrios turns to Naruto. The moment I sensed Naruto coming to the island, I planned to have a little fun with the villagers until he got here. But it would seem like the Chaos Warriors had other plans and decided to finish what they started years ago. And you just let them cause all of this carnage? Naruto asked, his hair shadowing his eyes. You're supposed to be the leader, right? So you could have told them to stop. No. Order was their leader. Tyrios told him. The Chaos Warriors have free will of their own so they can do whatever they want. A dark smirk forms on his face as he holds his hand out to Naruto and negative chaos energy dances around his fingers. But enough about them. Because now that Naruto is here, I can finally test out my new godlike powers. Damn you, you rotten son of a. Kia was about to yell, but stopped when she saw Naruto starting to slowly walk to Tyrios, his hair covering his face. She gasped as she saw water starting to surround him. She can already sense his emotions, and right now, she senses nothing but raw powerful anger. You know. Tyrios said as he slowly walked towards Naruto while black water started to swirl around him. When I met Order and told him about what happened to Chaos, he was angry. Wanna know why? He wanted to face Chaos in a deathmatch. He was angry that his brother didn't do anything to save him or the others and just left them to their fate. Now all they want is revenge, just like how I want mine. That's what made us bond. While the two slowly walked to one another, Kia began to run away from the incoming fight that was gonna happen. Once she was at a good enough distance and away from the Chaos Warriors, she looked at the two boys and gasped in surprise. Instead of seeing Naruto and Tyrios, she now saw Chaos and Order in their place respectively, as if they were overlapping them. She blinked and they were back to being Naruto and Tyrios again. It's funny. Tyrios continued. Even though I want to fight you, I also want to kill you, to see you dead at my feet. That must be Order's feelings reaching out from deep inside my heart. The two of them stopped walking as they stood a few feet away, their different colored water elements still circling around them. Tell me, Naruto. Deep down inside you, what is Chaos feeling right now? Is he angry about what happened to his brethren? Is he feeling sad and regretful that he wasn't able to save them? What are your instincts telling you? My instincts? Naruto asked coldly as his hair started to float upwards with wisps of water appearing around his being, with the same thing happening to Tyrio's. My instincts are telling me. His eyes glowed green, a snarl present on his face. To kick your sorry ass. Insert fighting song. Lights out. Chris Brenner remix. A pillar of water rose up, covering Naruto as he transformed into his chaos form. He charges at Tyrio's as he pulls his fist back. Tyrio's himself grinned as he transformed as well and charged at Naruto, fist pulled back. Both of them quickly caught each other's fists as they tried to push one another back. Naruto snarled further at seeing that stoic grin on Tyrio's face. He is gonna wipe that damn thing off. Naruto sent a kick to Tyrio's chin, only for him to backflip away from Gordian, instantly slammed his fists into the sand, just as Tyrio's was about to land. Two large hands rose out from the sand and grabbed hold of Tyrio's. The Black Chaos looked at the hands, looking actually impressed. Not bad. Tyrio's form turned into a black water puddle as he slipped out of the large hands, making Naruto retract them as he returned to normal. But you're gonna have to do better than that. Then how about this? Naruto's hands turned into blades as he charged at Tyrio's, giving a battle cry. Tyrio's did the same thing as his hands turned into blades as well. Their blades clashed, making sparks fly around. They jumped away from each other before slashing at each other, each slash being blocked by one another or getting avoided. Tyrio's ducked to avoid a swipe before he sent a powerful kick to Naruto's stomach, making him get sent flying back. Damn, that kick had some serious power into it that it made him rub the spot. His durability has been enhanced to the point where he could feel no pain from getting hit. He should know because he let the monsters that have been coming to Angel Island attack him, letting them think they got him, when in fact he was messing with them. Hell, even a human, let alone a shinobi, wouldn't be able to hurt him. He wasn't being arrogant, mind you, he was stating the facts. What? Is that all you got? Tyrio's asked. Not even close. Naruto growled as green energy appeared in his hands. Chaos bullets. He fired green energy bullets at Tyrio's, who charged at him while avoiding them, channeling purple chaos energy in his hand. Naruto stopped doing his attack as he dodged a blast from Tyrio's hand by leaning back. A jet of water came out of the Guardian's body and hit Tyrio's in the stomach, making his eyes widen in surprise as he flew back and hit the sand, rolling around it. Off on the side, Kia was watching the battle between the two demigods and was surprised by the display of power they were both demonstrating. He got him. She smiled happily. TCH. Tyrio's eyes widened as Naruto transformed into a cheetah and was running at him at high speed. He then pounced at Tyrio's, who only grinned before he disappeared, getting replaced by a log. Damn it, Naruto cursed as he turned back and kicked the log a great distance. A substitution. He looks around for Tyrio's, only for him to appear right next to him, facing the opposite direction. Impressive. Tyrio spoke up. You've got a pretty good experience with your powers. He vanished when Naruto tried to swipe at him with his claws, earning a growl. How long has it been since you met Chaos and inherited his powers? Tyrio's voice was heard. Months. No, that's not it. The way you moved just now showed me that you had years of training to learn how to control your powers properly. Why don't you just come out and face me since you're feeling so chatty? Naruto asked. And yeah, I did 6 years to be exact. He heard Tyrio's whistling in amazement. 6 years? You've had this power for 6 years? That's impressive. Of course, I expected nothing less from my destined rival. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he carefully looked around, getting ready for when Tyrio's would pop out. However, while you got 6 years of experience with your powers, I just got mine today. And I think I'm starting to get the hang of it by now. So Tyrio's suddenly appeared in front of Naruto, much to his shock. He gave a grin. Show me what you got, senpai. Before Naruto could react, Tyrio sent an uppercut to his chin, making him fly up to the sky. The Black Chaos immediately vanished and appeared over him. Naruto opened his eyes and saw Tyrio's above him, getting ready to kick him, making his eyes widen. He flips and crosses his arms together in an X formation before he feels the kick. Instead of falling back down, Naruto immediately grabbed Tyrio's legs and spun around, throwing him towards the ground. Tyrio's flips and lands on the ground feet first. He jumped out of the way to avoid a giant axe that was aimed to cut him in half. However, instead of getting annoyed that he missed, Naruto grins. Just as Tyrio's landed on the ground, a water tentacle popped out from the sand, grabbing his ankle. But Tyrio's asked in surprise. He turns around, only to get punched by a giant fist as he gets sent flying away. Naruto laughed as he charged at Tyrio's. Alright, Kia cheered. The Guardian gave a battle cry as he fired multiple chaos arrows at Tyrio's, only for them to get dodged or blocked. The new destroyer demigod grins as energy gathered in his hands. He put them together and fired a powerful purple and red energy beam. See, Naruto didn't stop, though a smirk did appear on his face. He kept going until he suddenly split himself into two, just as the beam was about to hit him, much to Tirio's and Kia's surprise. The clone? Tirio's called out in shock before he ended up having to use his forearms to block the punches from both of them. One of the Naruto's grins as he kicked Tirio's hard in the stomach, making him fly back and cough out blood. The other Naruto appeared right behind the flying Tirio's and charged at him, sending a barrage of kicks at him and launching him to the air. The clone comes a second later and grabs Tirio's by his face, slamming him back into the sand before kicking him away. The dark demigod flips on the sand using his hands and manages to avoid a swiping claw from Naruto before the other one appears to hit him with a large axe kick. Tirio's grabbed the clone's feet before throwing him into the original, who caught him and was absorbed back into him. This is amazing. Kia whispered to herself as she watched the battle before her, observing Naruto as he stretched his body around to avoid Tirio's attack before knocking him away with a blast of chaos energy. 6 years. So that was how long ago Naruto met Chaos and lived on Angel Island. With 6 years of having the powers of a godlike being, of course someone would be more experienced in how to master it. And right now, the results were showing. Naruto backflips and launches himself in the air to avoid two large beams that shoot out of Tirio's hands, glaring at his opponent as a ring of water surrounds him. He moved his hand up as the water went towards it and took the shape of a large dagger. A dagger filled to the brim with chaos energy. Take this, see, Naruto threw the large dagger at Tirio's, who looked stunned at seeing it with his eyes widened. Unbelievable. Naruto and Kia watched on as the dagger landed a direct hit and explode upon impact, which shook the land slightly and made the two cover their eyes due to the brightness of the energy. Once it disappeared, they uncovered their eyes as they saw a large wet yet black scorch mark on the sand. But they didn't see Tirio's body anywhere, much to Kia's shock and Naruto's disbelief. "What, he's gone?" Kia exclaimed. That attack just now should have knocked Tirio's unconscious at least. See, Naruto looked around to locate where his counterpart could be hiding. "Where did he go?" "Behind you." The Guardian's eyes widened as he turned around to Tirio's only to block a kick using his forearm. "I actually felt that attack and it hurts. If I was a normal, that attack would have killed me." Tirio's told him before he grins darkly. "Allow me to return the favor." See, Naruto felt Tirio's gathering up chaos energy into his hand, making him look down to see it in the form of a large ball. His instincts telling him to dodge, Naruto backs away as Tirio's throws it at him, forcing Naruto to catch it as it sends him crashing to the sand. The water demigod still had his ground as he held the ball, which was forcing him into the sand as it got deeper and deeper. He reared his arm back and threw the ball back at Tirio's, only for him to fly towards him while dodging the ball as it exploded. See, Naruto raised his hands as two balls of water filled with green chaos energy appeared. Chaos launcher, he threw the two at them. Tirio's got ready to dodge them, but before he could, the balls exploded, releasing a burst of energy that stopped his charge at Naruto as he fell. Yeah, Naruto cheered as he ran towards the falling demigod and got ready to punch him. "Got you," Tirio's exclaimed. The shinobi did a hand sign as a poof of smoke appeared in his hand, making Naruto's eyes widen. The smoke vanished to reveal a very large shuriken. Now 300 shadow shuriken jutsu. "What?" Naruto asked as Tirio's launched a large shuriken before it turned into multiple hundred of small shurikens in a poof of smoke. Shitty surfs away only to see that they were homing in on him. "This is insane." Kia whispered as she watched Naruto try to escape the shuriken that was closing in on him. Her eyes moved towards Tirio's and narrowed at him. "Just how did Tirio's know about our island and order anyway? The only possible thing I can think about it is that someone from here must have told him about it. But there's no way that someone from here would expose their island to the shinobi. This was their island paradise, they would rather die than have shinobi come here to do who knows what. Someone definitely must have told him about the island, and if not from here, then where?" Naruto continued to surf across the beach while staying ahead of the shurikens. But no matter how many times he avoided them, they would keep coming. It seems like those shuriken will keep homing in on him, no matter where he goes. Heck, he even let some of them go through his body and land on the sand, yet they were still coming. "Okay, I've had it." Naruto stops surfing as he generates a force field which knocks the barrage of shuriken away and causes them to disappear. Tirio's eyes widened in amazement at seeing the force field Naruto produced. This guy really wasn't bluffing by what he said. He really does have 6 years of experience with his powers, and he was impressed by the results his senior was showing. Naruto Kyosu. He certainly is one interesting and an incredible guy. Someone who is definitely worthy enough to be called his rival. The demigod of Angel Island glared up at Tirio's and saw him smirking at him. He raised his hand towards him. Chaos strike. The blue ripple suddenly appears around Tirio's. Ugh, he was knocked down from the air and, for some odd reason, he felt extremely dizzy as he stood up and moved around. See, Naruto's hand glowed purple, and he gave out a yell as his arm stretched out to deliver a straight devastating punch to Tirio's stomach, which made him gasp out in pain. The outstretched hand then grabbed Tirio's tightly, and Naruto lifted him up, only to slam him on the ground multiple times. Nearby, Kia was cheering very loudly. "Yes, he's winning, you got this, Naruto." She expected such an outcome. Like Naruto said, he had 6 years of training by himself to have better control over his powers, and Tirio's only had his today, so he was at a huge disadvantage. After slamming Tirio's down one last time, creating a cloud of dust and crater, Naruto released him. He jumped in the air and got his fist ready for a powerful attack. He charged at Tirio's with a roar. Through chaos impact. Once he was close enough, he brought his fist towards Tirio's face and landed another devastating punch. The impact not only pushed Tirio's further into the crater, but it also unleashed tremors throughout the surrounding area, which caused Kia to trip comically on the ground. But she honestly didn't care, as she was more impressed by the powerful attack. "Awesome," she whispered, staring in awe at Naruto, who stood up and looked down at Tirio's. The guardian demigod grins as his attack makes contact, but then his eyes widened as Tirio's vanished in wisps of black water. "A clone?" But Kia asked in shock. The ha-ha-ha at Tirio's laughter was heard along with clapping. Naruto turned around and saw Tirio's on the ground, clapping his hands in amusement and awestruck. "That was a very well done attack on Naruto. You keep impressing me more and more. When the hell did you create a shadow clone?" Naruto asked. Tirio's chuckled and shook his head. "And by shadow, do you mean the shadow clone jutsu? Who said that was a jutsu and not just a shadow version of myself?" Naruto narrowed his eyes before they widened in disbelief. Kia came to the same conclusion as well and gasped. "It can't be, he's learning how to use his powers at an incredible rate," the island princess thought to herself. Naruto dashed at Tirio's as he did the same thing. The two of them clashed their forearms before going in for a hand-to-hand combat fighting. Naruto struck first by trying to land a punch on Tirio's, only for them to be blocked or dodged. Tirio's then grabbed Naruto by the arms before jumping up and kicked him in the chest, making him slide back on the sand as he dashes at him. Kia watched on from the sidelines as Tirio's tried to attack Naruto again, only for them to be avoided as Naruto turned flexible and moved around them. She saw how Naruto ducked underneath a kick before his fists glowed and enlarged as he did a tornado of punches straight up in the air, taking Tirio's with him. "Amazing. Tirio's is truly at a disadvantage right now," Kia commented, watching wide-eyed. She turned to the Chaos Warriors and saw that they still hadn't moved a muscle. They were just standing there watching the battle as well. It made her realize that they were just waiting for Tirio's to hurry up and finish his fight with Naruto so they can take a crack at him. She turns back to the fight and sees Naruto swiping at Tirio's with his claws, only for them to get blocked. The Guardian's eyes widened as he felt the painful feeling return to him, making him miss Tirio's. He grit his teeth and tried to ignore it as he continued his assault. Tirio's avoided another clumsy claw swipe before coming up and seeing Naruto's face, a savage grin on his face as his counterpart's eyes widened. A bright flash of light erupted from Tirio's eyes, blinding him and making him yell out in pain. Naruto leaps back away from his double, eyes closed as he tries to rub them before he feels his counterpart grab him by the face, slamming him down to the ground before dragging him across the sand. He spun around and threw Naruto at a rock pillar. The demigod saw it coming and flips in the air. He landed his feet on it before jumping off just as Tirio's dashed towards him. They caught each other's fists and were just floating in the air, struggling. "Yes, this is even better than I had hoped it would," Tirio said in excitement. "This power flowing through me is truly amazing, it's like I've been reborn as a new person." "Glad you're enjoying yourself." Naruto growled sarcastically. Tirio smirks. "Believe me, I am, and deep down I know you're feeling the same." "The hell I am," Naruto denied. He tries to knee Tirio's in the stomach, only for it to be blocked by his own knee. "Nice try." Tirio's flips him over and kicks him back to the beach. A dust cloud of sand erupted from where Naruto landed. He groans and shakes his head as he looks up, only to see Tirio's standing in front of him, energy swords covering his hands. "Heh." Tirio's raised his hand in an attempt to slash Naruto down, but raised a brow when he grins and places his hand out towards him. Chaos control. Tirio's and just about everything around Naruto had completely stopped. Naruto immediately stood up, smirking at the frozen state the rain shinobi was in. Chaos control. "You gotta love it now, time to end this." Naruto took a fighting stance and gave a battle cry as he sent a barrage of fast-paced punches at the frozen Tirio's, his fists kept enlarging as he did so. After landing one last hit, he backs away by doing a backflip. He pulled his fist back as it began to glow an intense light purple, eyes narrowed at Tirio's. Music end. "But this, you're finished." Naruto dashed towards Tirio's, his fist enlarging. He gave a final yell and launched his large fist at Tirio's, just as time returned to normal. Dia watched on with wide eyes as Tyrios got sent flying several meters away from Naruto. Her eyes widened further as Tyrios looked like he was getting the stuffing beaten out of him, judging from the punching blows she saw he was receiving. She looked on as he landed on the ground. Wait. What? What just happened? Kia asked. She remembered seeing Naruto on the ground and Tyrios having his hands covered in energy swords, getting ready to cut Naruto down, but now instead it looks like Tyrios just got sent flying by Naruto's large fist. But how did Naruto? Wait, before Tyrios attacked him, Naruto said chaos control. From what I know, chaos control allows someone to warp time and space. Kia said, and all looked present on her face as she watched Naruto approach the downed Tyrios. He stopped time. Oh man. Naruto actually stopped time. Just how incredible was this boy? It also made her realize something. He won. Naruto had won against Tyrios. She did a small fist bump in the air. Yes, way to go Naruto. Naruto approached Tyrios, seeing that he wasn't moving a muscle. But that doesn't mean he should let his guard down. Once he was close enough, he looked down at him. That was unexpected. Tyrios said, chuckling as he looked at Naruto. Looks like you had a lot of skills hidden. Tell me, that technique you used, that chaos control, what was that? Why don't you take a guess? Naruto told him. Well, from what I can guess, that chaos control allows you to control time and space. You used it to stop time and beat me, which means no one can escape it, no matter how far away you are. Am I right? Naruto didn't say anything as he glared harder at Tyrios, which made him chuckle. He smirks a little when he sees Naruto starting to be in pain again, this time almost falling to his knees. To think such a powerful technique exists. No doubt it came from Chaos's world. Tyrios states as he closed his eyes. By the way, when you used that chaos control, did you think I wouldn't notice? That made Naruto ignore the pain for now as he stares at Tyrios. Notice what? Tyrios opens his eyes and grins at seeing Naruto as he vanishes, making his eyes widen instantly. Should a clone? Sensing Tyrios behind him, Naruto ignored the pain to face him, only to feel something struck his stomach and felt an incredible pain. Eyes slowly widening, the guardian looked down at the dark purple hand covered in chaos energy that went through his stomach. He tried to say something, but he coughed out green blood instead. Dia gasped in horror, covering her mouth as Tyrios removed his hand from Naruto's stomach, seemingly holding something, and kicked Naruto away from him. She tried to go to him but stopped when a sword struck itself in front of her. She looked to the side and saw an eye stare at her before he turned away, making her look back, only for her eyes narrow as she saw something glowing in Tyrios' hand. No way. Is that? Naruto held his stomach in pain and looked up at Tyrios, only for his eyes to widen as he saw something glowing purple in his hand. No, the Chaos Emerald. Dia gasped in shock. She couldn't believe it. Naruto actually brought the Chaos Emeralds with him. Tyrios looks at Naruto down in his hand and sees he is holding a purple Chaos Emerald, it's glowing, mesmerizing him. Oh. So this is a Chaos Emerald. It certainly has that otherworldly feel to it. The snarl was present on Naruto's face as he glared at Tyrios, standing up but still holding his stomach. How did you know? Before you used your chaos control to stop time, I felt their power coursing through you. All 7 of them. Which reminds me, Tyrios replied before he grins darkly. I heard that these emeralds have the ability to transform our thoughts into power, meaning that if you can do it. Naruto's eyes widened in alarm. No, Chaos control, Tyrios called out as the emerald glowed and everything around him stopped. He looked around with wide eyes, seeing the flames had stopped moving and the birds in the sky stopped running. He even turns to Naruto and sees him frozen in place, along with Kia and the Chaos Warriors. He looked at the emerald in his hand with awe before he began to chuckle. His chuckling increased further before he laughed out loud. Yes, this is it, the power I've been seeking for so long. Not only do I have the powers of a godlike being, I can also control time and space, all thanks to this little emerald. He turns to Naruto with a dark smirk on his face. Speaking of which, Tyrios charged at Naruto, landing heavy body shots at him. He then jumps back, an energy sword reappearing in his hand. He slashed at Naruto multiple times before he backflips away and another energy sword appears. He crossed his arms in an X formation, grinning at Naruto before he dashed at him, reappearing behind him on his knee. Time had instantly returned. She blinked in confusion and saw Tyrios behind Naruto in a kneeling position, 2 chaos energy swords on his hands. Her eyes widened in realization and shock, figuring out what had happened. Tyrios, he used chaos control, but that means she turns to Naruto, who remained frozen. No. It's over. The moment Tyrios said those words, Naruto felt heavy blows over his body that made each chaos emerald shoot out of his body. Then, multiple glowing slash marks appeared on his body as blood shot out from them, leaving the guardian demigod in a shocked state. After that, a large glowing X-shaped scar appeared on his chest, making blood burst out. To Naruto, everything was moving in slow motion as he fell forward while returning to normal, showing the damages down to his body. No way he got me. His first time facing a foe who's not only a ninja but also a demigod like him, and he lost. But that can't be. He had him. He had him, damn it, so how did he lose? Ever since he inherited Chaos's powers, he's been training himself each and every day on Angel Island to learn how to control them. Creating his own techniques and abilities to the point where he would proudly say he's ready to take down a shinobi. But Tyrios is different. While a shinobi, Tyrios merged with Order and inherited his powers, making him a demigod like Naruto. Another difference is whereas Naruto has had his powers for 6 years, Tyrios has gotten his today. He was able to go around him, landing hit after hit on Tyrios. He was winning, damn it. After that chaos control, he knew he had won the fight. But the sneaky bastard played him. He even found out the secret about chaos control, and he's able to do it. Not only that, but he can also sense the chaos emeralds, which were now knocked out of him. Damn it, Naruto fell face first into the sand. Naruto Kia screamed. She runs towards him, but then stops as eyes suddenly sprouted from the ground, making her stop. What? The princess looks at the Chaos Warriors and sees Frost staring at her, her weapon drawn as though she just used it. She grit her teeth as her bracelet starts glowing and blue markings appear on her body. She turns to the ice and punches it, shattering it, and charges at Tyrios, who had returned to normal and was walking to Naruto. Tyrios, Kia sent a punch at him towards his face, only to get her fist caught by him, shocking her. Tyrios then threw her far away from them, deeming her unworthy of his attention. His attention was focused on Naruto as he got on his knees and was glaring up at him. The island princess slid across the sand as she got back up. She grits her teeth in anger. How dare he? This guy completely ignored her and just threw her away as though she was trash. She'll show him, she'll make him pay for this. She was going to go back but felt something grab her. Her eyes widened as Bayu was holding her down, while Zenin had his claws aimed at her neck. No, Naruto, I won't lie, you really did get me with that last attack just now, but in the end it looks like I won this little spar between us. Tyrios told Naruto, smirking down at him, earning feral growl in response. You wanna know a secret? You may be powerful and have more experience than me, but it's obvious that I'm still much more powerful than you are, currently at least. What was that? Naruto asked as he tried to stand up, only to fall back down as the painful feeling in his chest came back to him, this time much more intense than before. I told you. I just wanted to test out my powers, which means that even I don't know the full extent of them. Tyrios answered. Also, it's because of the situation you're in right now that you lost. You don't have all of chaos within you. What? Naruto tries to stand but only gets on one knee. Did you already forget? The Chaos Warriors are Chaos's essence given form. Tyrios reminded him. Meaning that by the time of your union with Chaos he was incomplete, for his essence was taken from him by force. Which also means that you are incomplete. And right now, that pain you're feeling. That's either Chaos reacting to them or the essence reacting to you and trying to come back. Naruto's eyes widened as he stared at the Chaos Warriors before looking down at his hands. Could Tyrios be right? The pain he's feeling is it Chaos reacting to his missing pieces or the pieces reacting to him and wants to return to him? Was he really incomplete without them? Oh. Tyrios said, catching Naruto's attention. Before I forget, he held his hand out towards the Chaos Emeralds as they floated towards him, slowly circling around. What do you plan on doing with them? Naruto demanded as Tyrios looked at him before at the emeralds. To be honest, I wasn't expecting you to come here with these Chaos Emeralds. I just wanted to play with you for a bit then leave. But now Tyrios grins darkly. I got an even better idea. He turns to the Chaos Warriors and launches the emeralds, except for purple and blue, towards them, shocking Naruto and Kia. The warriors looks up at the emeralds and they each jump towards them, even Ai and Zenin who released Kia. Each warrior went after an emerald of their respective colors. Frost got the white emerald, Zenin got the yellow emerald, and I got the red emerald, Bayu got the turquoise emerald, and Gaia got the green emerald. Once they got their emeralds, a bright light engulfed them, making everyone cover their eyes. The light died down and everyone uncovered their eyes, only for them to widen as they saw the Chaos Warriors, each one looking different from the other, and their weapons look as though they've evolved. An eye increased in size and mass, and it gained a line of orange bones that traveled down his right arm into his hand, where the red emerald is seen. His tail has gotten longer. His sword, Ifrit's Wrath, looked the same, except it now had cracks around the blade, which seems to be glowing an orange aura. It also had a red crystal on the guard. Frost became larger and had shards of ice popping out of her body, making her almost look like an ice monster. She also had ice blue bones in her chest, where the white emerald is seen. Her weapon, Ice Queen, now had an extra blade on the bottom. It was also glowing slightly. Aya became larger and more muscular. She had bones in her stomach area where the green emerald is seen and leaves on her head, making it look like hair. Her weapon, Earth Shattered, had gotten bigger and had more glowing green lines on the hammer. There were also flowers blooming on the vines. Vayu became larger as well, the small wings on his arms becoming bigger and longer, making them look like actual wings. His legs were replaced by a tornado. He also had bones in his back, which the turquoise emerald is seen. His weapon, Ferocious Wind, looked a little bigger and sleeker than what it originally was, but it still kept the bird motif on its blade. The blade itself now looked almost like a sword. Zenon got muscular and was hunched over slightly. The two small antennas on his head had gotten longer and had electricity dancing between them. He has a black bone in his left pectoral area where the yellow emerald is seen. He gained an extra pair of claws, this time on his feet, earning his weapon's name the Storm Claws. They evolved. Naruto muttered in shock. Even though they look nothing like the original Chaos One, except for an eye who closely resembles him more, some of them kind of look like creatures from certain mythologies he read about with Amachao. Tia herself trembled at the raw power the Chaos Warriors were releasing. Despite being Chaos's essence, she should have known that they would absorb the emeralds like Chaos. She knew that they were more powerful than Chaos was in his regular form, thanks to Order powering them up. But now that each had an emerald of their own, they were on a whole new level. Kyrio's looked wide-eyed as he looked at the newly evolved Chaos Warriors. So that's what happens when they each take a Chaos Emerald. He had to admit they look impressive and powerful. He looks at the purple and blue emeralds, a glint in his eyes. If they can evolve using the emeralds, then does that mean him and Naruto? Oh, I can't wait to see what happens when we use all 7 emeralds. Kyrio's muttered with an excited grin on his face. Yes. With the 7 emeralds in their grasp, him and Naruto will have the ultimate battle of the century, a battle between gods, the new guardian god versus the new god of destruction. Thinking about it made him tremble in anticipation. Speaking of Naruto, Kyrio's glanced at the water demigod, seeing him still look at the Chaos Warriors with shocked eyes. It's done. He got what he came for in front of Naruto. Now it's time for him to leave and take care of business elsewhere. He turns and walks away, which was something Naruto immediately noticed. Hey, where do you think you're going, Tyrios? The newly born demigod stopped walking and tossed a blue emerald in front of Naruto, confusing him, while the purple emerald disappeared inside him. He looks over his shoulder at his rival, smirking at him. I got some personal business and training to take care of, and if I were you, I would take this time to prepare for our battle. Seeing the confused look on Naruto's face made him shake his head. Defeat the Chaos Warriors, gather your essence and bring the rest of the emeralds. Once you've done that, come find me. I'll be waiting at the place where we'll have our true battle. He instantly transformed. See you soon, Naruto Kyosu. Kyrio's Naruto shot his hand up and sent a water tentacle to catch him, only for him to vanish. He grit his teeth in anger and punched the ground. Naruto, look out. Naruto's turns to Kia and saw the Chaos Warriors charging towards him, with an eye coming at him first, making his eyes widened. He quickly transforms into his chaos form and grabs the blue emerald as he dodged a slash from an eye's sword by jumping on his head. Damn, I can feel the heat coming from him, see, Naruto thought. His eyes widened as Frost jumped at him, twirling her double-bladed scythe. He ducked as he avoided a slash from the blade before Frost kicked him down to the ground. Aya jumps up to him as her hammer transforms into an axe as it begins to glow green. She swiped the axe at him, sending a large sharp chaos energy. See, Naruto blocked his arms into an X and could feel his arms in pain as the energy attacked him. He got sent crashing into one of the rock pillars she created. Shit, the guardian cursed as he quickly dodged Vei's spear. He kicks the wind chaos away from him and charges at Zenon, one hand covered in chaos energy in the form of a blade. Chaos slash. Just as Naruto slashed at Zenon, he mysteriously vanished as a stream of lightning, leaving the guardian in shock. What? Where did Aya? He screams in pain as he feels something slash him in the back. Not only that, but he was also getting electrocuted to the point where it left him stunned. The Chaos Warriors immediately wasted no time. The Nai charges at Naruto and slashes him across the shoulder with his sword, making him cry out at the heat of the blade. He grabbed him using his strong arm and threw him in the air. Frost slides on the beach, leaving behind a trail of ice, to get ahead of him. She dashed and caught Naruto by her side before spinning him around and throwing him to Zenon, making ice form on his body. The thunder chaos instantly transformed into a bolt of lightning. Naruto was then assaulted by a streak of lightning as more claw marks appeared on his body. Zenon appeared and slashed him across the stomach, slamming him down to the ground. The guardian weakly tries to stand up, only to get assaulted by a tornado as it launches him upwards. His eyes widened as he saw Veiu charging at him with his spear aimed at him. But then the blade was split into two, shocking the guardian. Veiu spun around really fast, turning into a spinning tornado made of chaos energy. Naruto coughed out blood as the attack stabbed him in the stomach and pushed him out of the tornado. Meanwhile, Kia covered her mouth in horror as she watched a Chaos Warrior brutally attack Naruto, as if he was a ragdoll. It was so terrifying to her that she could feel the tears falling from her eyes as she heard Naruto cry out in pain. She could see the blood and cuts that were on his body, even though he was high in the air. She had to do something, anything to save him, but what, damn it. Kia looked back and saw her friends running to her along with her mother and grandmother. Everyone, she cried out as she ran and hugged her mother. Kia, what's going on? Nala asked. It's Naruto, Kia cried out as she pointed at the bleeding Naruto in the air, causing everyone to look on with wide eyes. He's in trouble. In the air, Naruto could feel his consciousness slipping away as he transformed into his human. He tries to stay awake but he couldn't. His body was just in so much pain. But then for a moment, something caught his attention. He looked to the side, staring out to a nearby mountain, and he saw a masked boy staring at him. The masked boy wasn't alone, as a man in a black purple grayish coat was next to him and he seems to be waving at him. The demigod blinked weakly and saw that they vanished. What? Naruto asked. He heard something jump from below and could make out something glowing green. His eyes weakly widened when he saw Gaia charging at him, her axe now suddenly changed into a gauntlet as they were glowing green. Before Naruto could even try to evade it, she slams her open palms down at him, sending both of them crashing to the ground. The gauntlets continued to glow before a giant chaos energy blast erupted from them, blowing Naruto down to the beach at high speed. Once he landed, the whole island shook upon impact as a large cloud of sand and dust appeared, making Kia and everyone nearby to cover their eyes using their forearms. Eventually, the dust started to clear up. Kia uncovered her eyes and ran ahead to where the dust came from. Naruto, she shouted in worry, ignoring her friends and family's cries for her. Her eyes widened as she saw a large crater. She looked down at it and gasped and laid on the ground with the Chaos Warriors circling around him, looking down at him as they saw the various cuts, marks and bruises on his bloody body. The Guardian opened one eye weakly as he stared at the assembled Chaos Warriors, while they glared down at him in anger and satisfaction. Though for a brief moment, he saw them as the water chaos he knows and loves, each of their eyes showing sorrow and regret. He tiredly blinks and they returned to normal. They started to levitate in the air as the emeralds in their bodies began to glow brightly. In that moment, they were enveloped in bright lights of their emerald colors before shooting off in the sky and going into separate directions. No, Naruto said weakly as he reached a hand up to stop them, even though it was futile. See, come back. The last thing he saw before everything faded to black was a crying Kia running to him and calling out his name, with some survivors following after her. Chapter 6. Chaos 5. Introducing SH-2003 Birth of a Team. The journey begins. Chapter cover. Naruto and Kia are standing in front of a stasis pod, where a boy is clearly seen sleeping inside it. Their reflections are seen on the glass surface, showing an excited star-eyed Naruto and an awestruck Kia. Half of the boy's reflection showed an image of E123 Omega. 7-year-old Naruto was asleep. He didn't remember when he went to sleep, but he could tell that it was a bright new day, for the sun was literally beaming down at him, making him turn his head over. He groaned slightly as he felt something poke his cheek, making him swat his hand out. He giggled when he felt the poke again and realized that whatever was touching him felt like pudding. Cut it out. Naruto muttered sleepily as he moved his hands to get rid of whatever was touching him. He giggled again as he felt more poking from the pudding-like finger or something. His giggles turned into laughter as he felt more poking touching him from every part of his body. Okay, I'm up, Naruto laughed as he sat up and yawned, stretching his limbs out while doing so. Who is that touching me? Chow chow, chow chow? Naruto asked in confusion. He rubbed his eyes slightly and shook his head. He slowly opened his eyes only to see a pair of frowning eyes staring right back at him. The eyes have sky blue outline while the pupil is white. Naruto blinked. The eyes blinked. Naruto blinked twice. The eyes blinked twice. Chow. Why Naruto screamed comically as he jumped backwards from whatever was in front of them. But then he realized he had jumped higher than normal, making him look down, and saw he was getting further away from the ground. He screamed comically as he tried to stop, only to fall back down, making him scream louder. He fell on his head, making a comical bump appear as it lifted him up before he fell on his back. He rolled on the ground holding his head as comical tears fell out of his eyes. The creature blinked at the action before it laughed loudly, pointing at Naruto with others like it coming out of hiding and laughing with their friends. Hey, that's not funny, Naruto exclaimed as he stood up, tears in the edge of his eyes glaring at wait a sec, I know you guys, you're those Chow. He couldn't believe it, the Chow were actually here, right in front of him. They looked at the dark Chow variants. He was going to say something, but noticed something odd about his body. The former Namikaze noticed he had gotten taller than normal and then looked at his arms, seeing not skinny short limbs, but longer limbs and not so skinny anymore. He walked over to the fountain of the altar and what he saw made him gasp in surprise. Is that me? Naruto looked at the clear reflection of himself in the water. His once blonde spiky hair turned nice, silky and smooth. It was also starting to turn into an ocean blue color starting from the tips. His whisker-like marks were gone from his face and he saw that his ocean blue eyes now had a greenish tint. He opened his mouth to see his teeth flinched in surprise as he saw abnormal sharp canines. What happened to me? Naruto asked at his new appearance. Why do I look like this? Memories of the previous night flashed through his mind. Him coming here to the island, finding this altar and finally, meeting and learning about chaos. No way it wasn't a dream. Naruto whispered as he turned around and saw he was by the steps of the altar. He ran up the steps though it looked like he was skipping over a step or two. It's real. It's all real, which means once he made the top, he stopped and looked at the Master Emerald. Naruto slowly walks up to it as the previous night continued to flash through his head. He reached a hand out and touched the emerald. See chaos. Naruto's eyes were downcast as tears gathered in his eyes, and he sniffed. He closed his eyes to make sure the tears won't fall, but it didn't work. The creature who saved him from drowning, the first true friend he's ever made, is gone. A sob escaped from his lips as he used his hands to wipe the tears away. Why did Chaos have to die? All he did was save his home from being destroyed, and this was the cost of it. It wasn't fair. What about the Chow? They never even got the chance to say goodbye to him. Chow. Naruto felt something rub his arm softly. He looked to the side and saw an angel Chow floating next to him, looking at him sadly. Chow. Naruto's eyes widened slightly as he stared at the Ang Chow. Hearing more noise, he looked behind him and saw many other kinds of Chow, staring at him with sad looks on their faces. Everyone, Naruto said. He felt the angel Chow poke his cheek, getting his attention as the Chow had a sad look on its face. Even though it didn't have a mouth, Naruto could tell it was smiling. Chow. Chow. Naruto blinked in surprise as Angel Chow said that. He didn't know how or why, but he could understand what the Chow was saying. It's okay. We all knew this day was coming soon. Don't be sad, even for us. Is what Naruto heard. He looks at her, seeing her eyes taking on a happy expression to show she was smiling. He turned to the other Chow and saw they too had a smile as well. Even those dark Chow from before had soft smiles. You guys. Naruto shook his head and slapped his cheeks. The angel Chow was right, there's nothing to be sad about, and Chaos wouldn't want him to be sad either. He smiles happily and in confidence. Yeah, you're right, I made a promise to Chaos to protect everyone here and the emeralds. No matter what happens, I won't let anything happen to this island or none of you, because that's who I am, believe it. That made the Chow cheer happily as they crowded around Naruto and gave him a group hug, making him laugh because of their pudding-like bodies tickling him everywhere. Hey, come on guys, that tickles. Naruto laughed. He managed to slip away as his back touched the Master Emerald. He turned to it and stared at his reflection. Much to his surprise, he saw the reflection transform into Chaos, and he looked happy. Thank you, friend. Chaos repeated what he said as he vanished, making Naruto's reflection return. Tears once again gathered in the young boy's eyes before they fell, but these tears were not of sadness. They were tears of joy. For he has found a new home. No thank you. Chaos. Naruto muttered in his sleep. He reached his hand out as though he was trying to touch the Master Emerald just like in his dream memory. He felt something grab his hand and was holding it dearly, which instinctively made him hold it in return. But wait, who was holding his hand? He furrowed his brows before he slowly opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was an unfamiliar white ceiling. He closed his eyes again, feeling the light hit him. He tried to move only to growl in pain, holding his side. Don't move, you're still hurt. Hearing the voice made Naruto slowly open his eyes once again. It was blurry for him, but he could make a figure sitting next to him. He blinked a couple of times to get his vision clear, yet he could still make out the person, and he was surprised at who was there with him. Tycho. There before him sat the Echidna princess herself, a worried look on her face as she held his hand in hers. His vision was still blurry, so he closed his eyes again, this time shaking his head. He opened them again and Tycho disappeared. First, he saw peace orange hair, then he saw the worried light blue eyes staring at him. And lastly, he saw the face of the prettiest girl he's ever met before, and he's been living on a floating island since he was 7. It's you. Naruto said in a whispered tone, having a brief flashback of seeing this girl on his island. You're that cute girl from before. The girl smiles softly, her cheeks turning a bit red from the compliment as she grips Naruto's hand tighter. My name is Kia. I've been waiting to meet you for a long time, Naruto. Kia. Naruto let the name roll off the tip of his tongue. He slowly and steadily sat up, gritting his teeth as he ignored the pain he was feeling, despite his injuries already starting to heal. No, you have to stay in bed, Kia told him once again as she stood up and was next to him, gently putting her hand on his shoulder to hold him still. I'm okay. I can heal fast, so I'll just need a second. Naruto said to her as he sat up in his bed. He looked down at his body and saw he was heavily bandaged to the point where he looked like he should stay in bed for a couple of days. He also saw the blood stains on those bandages. The guardian looks around, seeing he was in a white room akin to a hospital like the Leaf Village. Except this room had a microwave, a TV set, a sink and of course a bed. He looked at the desk next to him, seeing the blue emerald in his necklace, along with a brown journal. "Do you remember what happened?" Kia asked worriedly. Naruto looked at her in surprise before he looked down. "Yeah. I remember. Kinda hard not to remember getting a major headache from what happened the other day." His eyes widened in fear as he turned to his visitor. "How long was I knocked out?" "About 2 days." Kia answered, rubbing her arm softly as she looked away from him. 2 days. Naruto instantly tried to get up, only to growl in pain and hold his sides. "Calm down," Kia told him sternly as she grabbed his shoulders. "You may heal fast, but that doesn't mean you can't still feel the pain." But Naruto tried to explain, but flinched when she glared at him almost like a stern mother. "Oh. You're still hurting and you need to stay in bed," Kia said softly with her eyes softening as well. "Okay." Naruto sighed. He looked out the window for a moment, seeing it was now dark outside. 2 days. He's been asleep for 2 days. He couldn't believe it was his battle with Tyrios and the warriors really that bad. But then again, Tyrios did stab him and forcefully took the Chaos Emerald out of him, along with knocking the others out of him using Chaos Control, then he was jumped by the Chaos Warriors. Okay, it was that bad, as much as it annoys him to admit it. Not wanting to remember the ass-kicking he got, he decided to think about something else. A thought came to Naruto's head when he looked towards Kia. "Hey Kia." "Yes." Naruto looked a little unsure, but decided to just ask her. "When I first saw you the other day, you reminded me of someone. Someone a friend of mine told me about. You also know about Chaos and Angel Island. How do you know about them?" Kia looks down for a moment. She couldn't believe how nervous and shy she's acting right now. She's been waiting for this moment for a long time and, now that time has come. She just wished her meeting with him would have been under normal circumstances. She took a deep breath and looked at Naruto. "As I said earlier, my name is Kia. Kia of Twilight Island." Naruto sat crossed-legged as he gave her his full attention, nodding his head. "The reason why I know about Chaos, the island and why I remind you of whom you're talking about is because," she took a deep breath and let it out, staring at Naruto with a serious expression. "I am the reincarnation of Tycho the Echidna." Naruto stared at Kia with a comical expression on his face as he processed what she said. Once he fully processed it, his expression slowly turned into shock as he let out a yell and pointed at her, which startled the girl. "Tycho's reincarnation, how the chow?" Kia's eyes widened comically at Naruto's yell, and she stopped him mid-sentence by covering his mouth with both of her hands, though he was still comically mumbling. "SHH, we're in the hospital, people are resting here and you might have woken some of them up." Naruto blinked at her before he sheepishly rubs his head. "Sweary." He mumbled in her hand as she sighed and removed them, allowing him to speak. He turned a bit serious yet his curiosity overlapped with it. "What do you mean you're Tycho reincarnated?" Kia sat back down next to Naruto, looking down at her hands. "See, on the day I was born, something very terrible happened to me." "Huh? I died?" Naruto gasped in shock as she continued. "The doctors didn't know what happened to me. They examined me multiple times and found nothing wrong, no illness or nothing. They tried to bring me back to life, but nothing worked. After so many failed attempts, my family gave up hope and almost buried me." Naruto looked a bit startled from that, but got confused when Kia smiled happily. "But then, when my grandmother came to see me, she told me she saw a spirit in the form of a pink ball of light appear in front of her. That ball of light briefly took the form of a Echidna girl. She entered my body and Elle was brought back to life." "You mean, Tycho saved you?" Naruto asked as the island princess nodded her head. He was surprised, stunned and even happy to hear that. So Tycho really did show up in this world with Chaos and the others after all. He was honestly worried that she might have ended up somewhere different. "A couple of years later on my 6th birthday, I started dreaming about Tycho's life. At the time, I didn't know what it meant or why I started to have them. I told my family and that's when Grandma told me that I was her reincarnation." Kia took the journal off the desk and handed it to him. "What's this?" Naruto asked curiously, opening it and reading through it. "It's my journal. I got it from my grandma. She told me to use it to write what I saw in the dreams." Kia answered. "Wow. That's amazing." Naruto said as he read each line. He turns to Kia. "What happened after that?" "A year later, when I was 7, that's when I met Tycho." Kia smiles happily at Naruto, who looked surprised but then chuckled. "Really? That's funny, because I met Chaos when I was 7 also." The guardian told her, scratching his cheek as both shared a small laugh. "So what happened when you two met?" Kia looks back down, a sad smile on her face as she recalls her meeting with her previous self. "Before she disappeared, she had some important stuff to tell me. After that, she told me about you." "Well, wait a sec, she knows me?" Naruto asked in a confused tone. "Yeah. She said it's thanks to you that Angel Island came here." Kia replied. "Me?" Naruto asked, pointing at himself in complete confusion. "Hold up, I brought Angel Island here. Could you blame him?" He had no idea that he was the reason why Angel Island came to this world. He always thought it was a complete accident or at least a coincidence. Hell, he even thought that it was just random. Now knowing it was him that saved a whole island and brought it to his world made Naruto all the more curious to know how he did it. How did I even do that? It's because of the bond. Kia giggled, prompting Naruto to look even more confused. Bond? Yes. Despite being in two different worlds, or better yet separate universes, I don't know how, but you and Chaos, you both formed a very special bond. That bond is what made the Master Emerald make contact with our world and brought Angel Island here. Kia explained. It happened on the day you were born. Naruto's jaw dropped in comical disbelief. Get the chow out of here. He covered his mouth with his hands due to his yell and looked at the door to make sure no one heard him. But that didn't stop the shock that he was feeling. It just sounded so unbelievable how the chow does a newborn baby make contact with a godlike being that hails from another world. That sounds like something from a manga or video game. The sudden realization stunned Naruto as he looked back at Kia. Hold on, if Tycho knew about me, does that mean Chaos knew about me as well? Yes, he has. Kia said, smiling warmly at him. Since coming here, he's been waiting to meet you, and his wish has finally come true. Naruto's lips trembled and his hands shook, thinking back on the day the two met. Ever since that day, he had always wondered why Chaos chose him, a chakra-less freak show, instead of someone else more worthy to inherit his powers. No matter how he thought about it, he could never find such an answer to that question. But now he now knows why Chaos chose him. Somehow, the two of them formed a bond even before they officially met. In other words, Chaos was the very first being he had bonded with on the day he was born. What's more, he was waiting to meet him on that day 6 years ago. The Guardian felt so much happiness and joy at learning this that he couldn't stop the huge smile that formed on his face and the tears in the corner of his eyes. His hands went to his heart as he felt it beat rapidly. Chaos. I'm happy I got to meet him too. Kia smiled softly at seeing the happiness on Naruto's face. Just being near him, she can feel the bright and warmth of his aura, which also told her what kind of person he is. Unconsciously, she moved her head forward and gave Naruto a kiss to his cheek, making his eyes go wide with surprise before she moved away. Naruto slowly moved his hand to touch the cheek where Kia kissed him. He turns to her with the same expression, his huge blush present on his face. What was that for? He also blushed, but it was soft compared to Naruto's. Despite that, she still had the smile present on her face, giggling at Naruto's sudden shyness. It's a thank you. You brought Tycho to me, so by extension you had a hand in saving my life. A reason made Naruto blush redder as he gave her a goofy smile. Wow, it's his first time meeting a girl, and he already got a kiss from her for doing something he had no idea about. He didn't know if he should feel lucky or not. Hearing Kia move the chair made him look towards her as she stood up and headed for the door, but stopped and turned back to him. You should get some rest. We'll talk more tomorrow morning after the funeral. Naruto flinched from that. Not only for the funeral service, but for the sad lifeless look in Kia's eyes as she slowly lost her smile and closed the door. He looks outside the window. He couldn't see much outside because of the trees that were in the way, but in that brief moment, he saw people of the island gathering up the bodies of those who passed on. Naruto grit his teeth in deep grief and sorrow as he turned away from the window. Damn it, he punched the bed, not hard enough for him to break it. He put his hand over his eyes. This is all my fault. If only he had gotten here sooner, if only he were to move faster, he could have prevented this massacre, and now the monsters who are responsible for this are out there somewhere doing who knows what. A soft cry reached Naruto's ears. It sounded like it came from next door. He walks out of the door, gritting his teeth as the pain comes back. He ignored it and walked out the room, struggling slightly, but he still managed to keep going. Once he was outside, he followed to where he heard the crying, only to see a door slightly open. He walks up to the door, quietly as possible, so he didn't want to scare the person inside the room. He peeks inside and his eyes widened as he saw Kia sitting down on a chair next to a man that was covered with machines keeping him alive. Appa. Naruto felt his heart break as he heard Kia softly crying out to her father. He wanted to go in there and help her to comfort her. After all, he did the same thing with his friends back on the island whenever they were sad. But seeing this, it told him she wanted to be alone with her father. He silently walked back to his room and sat on the bed, putting his arm over his eyes as he bit his lips to not yell in frustration. How the hell did this happen? He got so many questions about the situation he was in and no answers. Tomorrow, he'll pay his respects for the innocent lives he wasn't able to save. After that, he'll get the answers to his questions. It's the least he could do, the only thing he can do. Next day, music. Sadness Sonic Adventure. Kia was together with her family and her friends, along with the survivors of the tragedy now known as the Twilight Massacre. They were inside a funeral home, standing in front of a black wall that has pictures of many men, women and children who were murdered by the Chaos Warriors. All around her, she can hear the cries and whimpers of the villagers who lost their loved ones. Last night, after leaving Naruto's room, she went to her father's room to stay with him, hoping that he would wake up. But after he was stabbed by Tyrios, he showed no signs of recovering. Twilight Island is known for its best advancement in all things medical, and not just its technology. So the best doctors of the village did everything they could to heal those that were critically injured, while those with minor injuries only had bandages. But because of the Chaos Warriors, some equipment got destroyed and they could only use what little they had left. Which meant that her father probably didn't have much time left. Pia looked on as everyone placed a flower in front of the mural before giving out silent prayers and walking away. She looks to her friends, seeing Zara, Anna and Kyon having tears fall from their eyes, while Roku looks down sadly, their parents with them to comfort them. She looks outside of the funeral home. The aftermath of the battle was terrible. Many homes and buildings have been destroyed, there were craters all over the place, trees blown away. Their island home. Their sacred paradise is nearly gone now. This is what the real world looks like. Tia clenched her fists tightly and closed her eyes, tears of anger falling from her eyes, as Tyrio's words echoed in her mind, but more so at herself. This was her fault. All of this was her fault. She had a chance to take her friends and get out of that labyrinth the moment she sensed the dark presence of the Chaos Warriors. But instead, she let her curiosity get the better of her, and she led Tyrios to them. Nala, seeing her distraught daughter crying, moved in to hug her, but stopped when Sarabi put her hand on her shoulder. She turned to her in confusion and noticed she was looking behind them, a soft smile present on her face. She looked back and she silently gasped in surprise before tears gathered in her eyes. Nala calls her daughter softly, getting her daughter's attention. Look. Tia turned her head and she put her hands to her mouth to stop a gasp from escaping her lips as more tears fell from her eyes. Walking towards them was the bandage-free Naruto, and walking next to him, his arm over his shoulder, was her father, wide awake and limping slightly with bandages still on him. Naruto smiled softly and nodded at her before turning to Quan, who also had a smile, though it was weak and tired. The guardian let the older man go when he saw Kia running to her father and hugs him, sobbing into his chest as he hugs her back, tears of his own threatening to fall. Nala also joined in on the hug, while Sarabi stayed behind and watched them, wiping away a tear. Naruto watched the family moment with a soft smile on his face. It was always nice to see such loving moments like this. After all, it reminded him of his family back on the island. But that smile turned into a frown as he looked at the mural of the pictures. He walks up it, ignoring the looks everyone was giving him as they looked on curiously, with some young girls and even older women staring at him with hot blushes on their faces, while others were cautious. Some of them saw the way he transformed into the water form that bore a resemblance to the monsters that attacked them last night. They were still weary of him, and some surviving warriors had their weapons ready in case he tried anything. Quan noticed this and moved his hand up, signaling them to stop what they were doing. His eyes remained focused on Naruto's walking as his steps echoed out in the room. His family also watched him as well, with Kia looking concerned. Once the blue-haired teen stood in front of the mural, the people there backed away from him. He looked at each and every picture of those whose lives were lost last night. He saw one picture and stared hard at it. It was one with a mother and her baby, both smiling into the camera, with the baby holding his arms out happily and the mother laughing at him. Naruto bit his lower lip as he remembered their burnt corpses last night, making him close his eyes and trembled. He looked down at his hand, staring at the pacifier he found last night, and placed it with the flowers, bowing his head. He took a deep breath and brought his hands to his mouth as a flute made of energy appeared. People heard music coming from him. The music was so soft and gentle that it touched their hearts to the core and made them tear up once again. They could clearly see him playing something, judging from the way he was moving his arms, yet he didn't seem to have anything in his hands. Tia knew what it was that Naruto was playing, and it surprised her that he too had that ability. The mystic melody. It was a technique she saw from Tycho's memory. It allows someone to play a mystical melody on a transverse flute. But when one uses the mystic melody on the ancient ruins, small shrine-like temples, they can be used to unlock new passageways. But they can also be used for more than just that. To think that Naruto actually knows it made her impressed. Even more so since he's using it as a musical instrument. She closed her eyes and listened to the soft music before it slowly died down. Everyone. Naruto's voice echoed out, which made everyone jump slightly except for Kia. I'm sorry that I didn't make it soon enough to prevent this. If I had gotten here quicker, I'd be able to stop this from happening. He clenched his fists tightly as each Chaos Warrior flashed through his head, with Tyrios being the last one. But know this, the monsters who did this, I will find them and make them regret what they've done. Something like this will never happen again anywhere else. He turns and stares at everyone, showing them his angry but determined expression on his face. This is my promise to all of you. Seeing the expression on his face and the words he spoke, which were so full of determination and conviction, made everyone in the room look stunned. It made them truly believe the boy, especially since he was the one who fought the monsters the other day. The Guardian looked back at the pictures, but then looked away as he started to remember something he didn't want, his hair shadowing his face. He walks away from the mural and walks past Kia and her family. In that brief moment, Kia saw the tears that fell from Naruto's eyes, despite his hair hiding his face, which made her eyes widen. She reached her hand out to stop him, but a hand on her shoulder stopped her. She looked up to see her father who was shaking his head at her. "Don't, Kia," Quan told her, getting her attention. He stared hard at Naruto's retreating figure with his eyes showing understanding. There are some faces a man doesn't want a woman to see. Give him a moment to calm himself. Kia bit her lip and turned to Naruto, watching as he disappeared from view. She didn't need to see his face, since she could feel a whirlpool of emotions running through him. Sadness and guilt, both of which she expected. She also felt anger. Anger at Tyrios and the Chaos Warriors for what they had to her home, but the anger was mostly at himself. A determined expression appeared on the princess's face as she turned to her family. "I'll be back," she told her family before running after Naruto. Quan watched his daughter go after the boy she seems to be infatuated with. He shook his head and smiled towards his wife. "I swear, she takes more after you every day." "Oh, hush. You know how long she has been waiting to meet that boy." Nala smiles in amusement. "Yes, and for good reasons." Sarabi added her 2 cents in. She looked outside and had a gentle smile on her face. Chaos the water spirit and Tycho the Echidna, princess of the Knuckles tribe. Even though they came from another world, they both formed an incredible bond with those children. Now, those bonds have brought them together for something amazing. Quan and Nala looked to Sarabi before each other. They each had knowing smiles on their faces, looking out to where their daughter went to. Music end. With Naruto. Naruto was sitting on the beach, letting the salty sea water hit his feet while feeling the cool breeze in the air as it blew his long hair back. He looks up at the gray clouds in the sky, a lot of thought circling around his head, especially with what happened 2 days ago. Ever since he stayed at Angel Island for the past 6 years he never once found a reason to leave it, especially since he has his family. The only time he ever left was to save those out at sea, and that was it. Now, for the first time in 6 years, he finally left his home in order to investigate the mysterious disturbances that caused him great pain. And what did he find? Order, a Chao that was mutated into a Chaos. Chaos Warriors, Chaos's essence split and combined into 5 newborn Chao, mutating them into Chaos as well. All of this happened because of those ancients or whatever they were called. Thinking about them made him clench his fists in anger. Why? Why would they create another Chaos and let more of him appear? What was the point in this? So many questions ran through his head and the only way that he's gonna find the answers to those questions is here on this island. Or better yet, Kia is the one with the questions since she seems to know more about them. There was also something that plagued his mind as well. Those guys. The 2 mysterious figures appeared in his mind. Were they just figments of his imagination? No, they were real. They had to be. Because when he saw them, he was hit by this strange funny feeling. Not like with the Chaos Warriors from the other night, this was more. Naruto. Naruto jumped slightly at his name being called out. He turns around to see Kia looking at him worried. "You okay?" "I don't know," Naruto admitted, sighing a little bit as he looked back out into the ocean. "Got a lot on my mind." "Yeah, I was in the same boat as you," Kia said, sitting down next to him. "Really?" Naruto asked, looking at her in surprise. "Who wouldn't?" Kia asked back as she looked back at the ocean. "I'll be honest, I felt like a freak after learning that I was the reincarnation of a talking Echidna princess. But after going through her memories, learning of the life she had to live, I learned to accept who I was in my past life." Naruto continued to listen with an interested look on his face, while Kia looked on with a reminiscent expression on her face, the soft wind blowing her hair back. Naruto's eyes widened a bit as he blushed slightly. Hearing that meant that he was like a Prince Charming coming to meet and rescue the princess of another kingdom. Just the thought of it made him chuckle slightly and scratch his cheek shyly. Well, this is the first time he's ever had a long conversation with another human, and it's with a girl no less. He was kind of somewhat shy around them. Hell, the last time he talked to a girl was when he saved those women from that stupid pirate a while ago. After Tycho disappeared, I discovered that I inherited some of her powers. Since then I've been training myself, not only to learn how to control them, but to also be ready for the day when we meet. And then came the day when I found Angel Island. She turns to Naruto and smiles softly at him. When I finally found you, Naruto. Kia nodded at him in a happy manner. Yup, I saw you transform when you fought that monster and when you were singing. You were amazing. Amazing. Naruto blushed as he looked down and rubbed the back of his head. He still wasn't used to being complimented before. Oh come on, I wasn't that amazing. Until what? Naruto asked, but then saw Kia's hair shadowing her eyes and her sudden mood had dropped. Kia. I think it's best if I show you. The island princess said as she stood up and walked away. Naruto looks confused for a moment but follows anyway without question. Zara, one of my best friends, told me about a secret passageway she found on the small island next door a few days ago. When we went there we met up with our other friends. Naruto listened to the story as he gave her his full attention. However, something caught his attention. He looked ahead and saw the island she was talking about. That island? Yeah. That's where we're going. Okay, hold on tight. Eh? Naruto picked her up in bridal style, earning a surprised gasp and blush from her before doing what he told her. He bent his knees and did a giant jump towards the smaller neighboring island. Kia meanwhile gave a startled yell and would have been impressed at seeing something like that, but now wasn't the time, especially when she's telling him something as important as this, so she continued. When we entered a secret passage we discovered a secret door that led to a labyrinth that was filled with traps. Somehow, we managed to go through them. And that's when I felt them. Naruto landed on the beach of the small island, sliding on the sand slightly before doing a small hop to stop himself. He let Kia down from his arms and looked curious. Felt who? Order and the Chaos Warriors. Kia answered, which made Naruto go stiff with his eyes widened. She walks ahead with Naruto following after. As I felt them, we went deeper into the secret labyrinth to find out why I was sensing such intense emotions. We found a secret laboratory. Kia stops walking, causing Naruto to stop as well. He looked in front of her and his eyes widened in shock. There before them was a giant gaping hole. Inside that hole looked like a destroyed room. Naruto watched as Kia jumped down into the lab and was walking towards a large computer screen. He jumps down and looks around the destroyed room. Broken glasses everywhere, papers blown away, spilled chemicals on the floor. Damn, it looked like a tornado hit this place. Over here. Naruto turned to Kia and saw the screen was turned on and he saw a strange creature in a cloak that reminded him of Sonic and his friends. Watch this. So, Naruto and Kia watched the whole video from start to finish. As the video played out, Kia watched Naruto as his face went through many emotions. Shock, confusion, disbelief, surprise, horror, sadness, then rage. She can feel the rage inside him increasing as more of the video played out. Please right this wrong that I have brought to this world. The video ended as the computer turned itself off. Naruto stood there, his face covered by his hair, while Kia looked down sadly. After the video ended we quickly left the lab. I was going to contact you as soon as we made it home so that you could come and deal with them. Only Tyrios was there and he heard everything. You already know what happened afterwards. Naruto felt something snap inside him as he watched the video play out. He clenched his fist so tight, his claws dug into his skin as blood dripped from his hands. Drops of water began to leave his body before he transformed, staring at the computer with glowing green eyes and a snarl present. He growls angrily as his hands transform into large hammers. He gave a yell as he slammed his hammers into the keyboard, destroying it before attacking the screen for a few seconds. He went back and attacked the keyboard. Those bastards, how dare they! Not only did they come to Angel Island, they also took Chaos and studied him as though he was a lab rat and the poor defenseless Chao that were taken and used for experimentations, all because those monsters couldn't just leave things the way they were in order. The Guardian stops what he was doing, his face frozen in anger before it slowly changes into sadness. Order, he didn't ask for this. To become mutated and turn into a Chaos. To be loved by everyone, now only to be hated by them because one woman let her fear get the better of her and changed Order into what he is. Both Chaos and Order were a lot alike now that he thought about it. It's almost like history has repeated itself. Sorry. I had to get that out. He apologized, embarrassed that he let her see that side of him. It's okay. Kia told him, touching his shoulder. Truth be told, she did the same thing after Naruto was bedridden. She had a lot of anger inside her, and she had to let it out, so she destroyed a lot of things inside the lab. I did the same thing. Naruto turned to her and saw her smiling at him, making him smile back. Beeping noises were heard throughout the room, which made the teens jump in surprise as Naruto instinctively pulled Kia behind him and took a feral stance, looking around for anything that could attack them. They heard something open up in the ceiling, making them look up as they saw a small flying machine descending to their level. See, Naruto snarls at the machine as he looks ready to attack it. Suddenly, the machine shot a beam of blue light at him. The beam of light moved up and down, as though it was scanning him, drawing confused stares from the two. The machine seems to be done doing what it had to do as it stopped what it was doing. The teens watched as the machine flew towards a wall, making them look at one another in comical confusion before turning their attention back to it, with Naruto returning to normal. The small machine floated to a wall as a secret hatch opened up, revealing a hole fit enough for the machine to enter, which it did. Next to the secret hatch, the wall started to glow a cyan blue. Much to their surprise, the wall turned out to be a secret door to another room. What the chow? A secret door? The two looked at each other before turning to the entrance, looking at the glowing lights that lit up the hallway. They looked back and nodded their heads as they entered it. Wow. Who would have that the ancients made another room here? Kia commented. Those guys? Naruto asked bitterly. His bitterness turned into curiosity. Who were they? I mean, they look like they came from Sonic's world. But it sounds like they came from a different world. That's because they did. Kia replied, causing Naruto to look surprised. See, the ancients, they came from a world similar to Sonic's world. In that world, the ancients had these crystals that work almost similar to the Chaos Emeralds. Those Chaos Crystal things that old man was talking about. Naruto said as Kia nodded. From what I understood, the Chaos Crystals are limitless sources of clean and very potent energy. Unlike the 7 emeralds, there are 8 crystals. The ancients use them to harvest their energy so they can live in harmony with nature. That honestly sounds nice. Naruto admitted, putting his arms behind his head. So they used the crystals to be in harmony with nature. Guess their hearts were in the right place after all. Well, not really. Kia admitted. One of the ancients wanted to take the crystals and use them to take over the world and destroy all organic life. I take back what I said. Naruto deadpans, which earned a giggle from Kia. When the ancients discovered this, they sealed their former comrade away and hid the crystals. Afterwards, they took an interest in dimension traveling and traveled to our world, settling here on Twilight Island. It's thanks to them that we're a more advanced civilization. That's why we live in isolation, away from the shinobi nations for many generations. So that way, they won't come to take what's rightfully ours. Naruto's eyes narrowed. But someone learned about this island and told Tyrios. Kia didn't answer. All she could do was just nod her head. She looked forward and she saw a bright light at the end of the hallway. Naruto saw this too. This was it. Whatever it was in that room must be another one of the ancients' deepest secrets. The two teens entered the room while covering their eyes from the bright light. Once they got used to it, they opened their eyes only to look surprised. The room that they entered was really small. All that's in there is a table and a small computer. This is it? Naruto asked, looking around the room with a baffled expression. Kia walks to the small computer. She looks around the room with a raised brow. No. This couldn't possibly be it. There had to be more than this. She turned back to the small computer and pushed a button. As she did, the computer lit up and the same ancient from the last video appeared in front of them as a hologram, which spooked Naruto while Kia was wide-eyed. While the Naruto freaked out a little at the sudden appearance of the hologram. Hello, son of chaos. The ancient said. If you are getting this message, then that means I have a long past from this world, and it also means that my worst fears became a reality. Right now, you are looking at a hologram message of myself which I installed in case Order and the Chaos Warriors were ever released, and it seems that they were. Naruto just glared at the ancient. I don't want to say much because I know you've already seen my last recorded message, so this will be my final one, to you personally. The ancient coughed. I know that once you meet Order and fight him, there's a slight chance that you might win because Order is in his weakest state, or that you might lose in case Order found someone similar to you. Naruto let out a deep growl as his eyes narrowed into slits. He calmed down when Kia placed a hand on his shoulder, though she herself was glaring at the ancient as well. I also know that you might get attacked by the Chaos Warriors, their power together overwhelming you. So I took what little chance I have left to leave you with these special gifts. The ancient motioned his hand to a wall on the right, making the teens turn to it in confusion. Much to Naruto and Kia's surprise, blue glowing lines appeared on the wall forming into a big rectangle shape. That small piece opened up as steam was hissing from it. It moved to the side as something came out of the wall. There in front of them was a unique blue trident that's as tall as Naruto. The middle spear of the trident had an azure crystal embedded into it. Is that a spear? Kia asked, staring at the three-pronged weapon curiously. She never saw a spear like this before in her life. Plus, despite looking so old and plain looking, it still looks so new. No, it's a trident. Naruto corrected her as he walked up to the trident. He's read books about these types of weapons which were famously used for catching multiple fish and a pole arm. The trident? Kia asked. Naruto nods as he picks the trident up and examines it. Yeah. Back in Chaos's world, the trident was said to be a famous weapon used by two gods of the sea from different mythologies. Two different sea gods? Kia asked in awe. That's amazing, I had no idea Chaos's world had so many gods. You have no idea. Naruto chuckled, still examining the trident. He could sense something unique about the trident, and it wasn't just because of its plain-looking design. He twirls it around before holding it in both hands and looks at the crystal. Suddenly, the crystal began to glow brightly, getting the teens' attention. They watched in surprise as blue energy came out of the crystal and swirled towards Naruto's arms and then his whole body, causing the young demigod and the island princess to look on in wonder. This is chaos energy, Naruto thought, absolutely surprised by this. After being around the Master Emerald for so long, he knows what chaos energy feels and looks like. But where was it? The blue energy went back to the trident, or more specifically went back into the crystal, making Naruto's eyes go wide. No way, chaos drive. The guardian gasped, staring at the trident in surprise. Chaos drives. Amachao told him a lot about those things. They are crystallized chaos energy that are used to power robots. From what he learned, Dr. Eggman's grandfather designed them as a means to transfer energy into living tissue as part of his work on Project Shadow. He also learned that these drives are used to increase a child's specific skill: swim, fly, run and power. Naruto then came to a startling realization. He looked towards Kia, or more specifically her bracelet with the tear symbol. During his battle with Tyrios yesterday, he sensed chaos energy throughout Kia's whole body, as though she was powered up by chakra. When he saw how she charged at Tyrios in an attempt to attack him, he saw the glowing marks on her person and also saw her bracelet glowing as well, telling him that was the source of where the energy was coming. He noticed that mostly everyone here, including young teens, wore these bracelets. Now that led to the question, where did they come from? He and Naruto tried to ask, but then saw something amazing happened. The chaos drive within the trident began to glow once again, this time causing the whole trident itself to glow brightly and flowed out of Naruto's hands, making the teens look on in confusion and wonder. The glowing disappeared and revealed the trident once more, though this time it was even more different. In fact, it seems to have evolved from its plain design to an even more beautiful and cooler design. The trident now looked like something based on a fantasy RPG game, but looks futuristic and all high-tech. The overall handle is colored in a lighter shade of blue. The blades, which were sharper and edgier, looked more water-like and had green lines, making it seem like they were glowing inside. It had a beautiful futuristic-style pink plate decorated with small 7-colored crystals, circled around the azure crystal, which is in the center. The pommel for the trident looked like a miniature Master Emerald and had a pink cloth wrapped around it. Awesome, Naruto exclaimed in awe as he looked at the trident. What you hold in your hand is a very special weapon, crafted using powerful and very rare materials that existed in my world, thanks to the efforts of the sprites. The ancient explained, getting the two's attention. Sprites? Naruto asked. He looked at Kia and she shrugged her shoulders, showing she never heard of them either. The weapon has two modes that it can change into, trident mode and sword mode. Naruto and Kia gained confused expressions as they turned to each other. A sword. The trident soon glowed once again, only this time it started to change shape, getting the teens' attention once more. In the trident's place is a one-handed single-edged sword. Looking at it, Naruto saw it resembles a scimitar sword. The design of the blade looked beautiful and unique. It's dark blue, almost resembling reptilian-like skin, with green swirling lines on the surface, and had small spikes poking out, while the front was a shimmering light blue with a water-like design. The handle was green and had a light purple ribbon hanging from the pommel. The sword's guard looked like the head of a blue reptilian monster that has green jeweled eyes and matching colored teeth and only extends at the back. The azure crystal was embedded into the guard. Uo, Naruto and Kia said in awe, marveled by the mysterious sword. They may not be blacksmiths, but they can tell how beautiful and cool the sword looked. It's a sword now, Naruto said happily as he did a few practice swings with it while also making sure he didn't hit Kia with it. Awesome, Kia said in an awestruck voice before noticing something about the guard. Hey, isn't there something familiar about that? Naruto turns to Kia, a curious look on his face. What do you mean? Look at the guard. Kia said, pointing at it, making Naruto look at it before he gasped silently. It almost looks like perfect chaos, Naruto said, tracing his finger across the guard as the image of the mural and memory of perfect chaos appeared in his head. Now I get it. I think this weapon is supposed to represent chaos. I think you're right. Kia said, looking at the sword with her hand under her chin. The trident form represents Chaos Zero, while the sword represents perfect chaos. Oddly enough, that kind of makes sense. The weapon also has other special powers. But you must discover what they are as you continue on your journey to stop the Chaos Warriors. Right, Naruto muttered. However, much to his and Kia's amazement, the sword vanished into blue lights and entered his pendant. Huh? What the? The pendant glowed a bright blue color, which made the teens cover their eyes. The light faded around the pendant, revealing itself to the teens. Instead of the empty hole that was on the cross, there was now a beautiful blue crystal that seemed to shine. The teens were more surprised by this development. What's this? Naruto asked, taking a closer look at his pendant. He never seen his pendant do something like this before, so to see this shocked him. What just happened? Kia asked also as she stared at the pendant as well. Now it's time for your second gift. The ancient spoke in a rather proud tone which got Naruto and Kia's attention. A new companion to help you on your journey. Companion? The teens asked at the same time, looking at each other in confusion. The two felt the floor shake and looked down. Their eyes widened as they quickly moved out of the way when they saw a large hatch open up, with smoke rising out of it. As they tried to cough the smoke out of their lungs, they heard something mechanical rise out of the floor before they heard humming from the machine. The teens opened their eyes and wiped the smoke out of their faces to see what it was that came from the floor, and much to their surprise it was a capsule. They glanced at each other before nodding and walked towards the capsule. Their eyes widened in surprise as they saw not something but someone sleeping inside the capsule. It was a boy that had short light golden hair, with little black bangs in front of his face, and pea skin. Looking at him, the boy had the appearance of a handsome Prince Charming who looks to be either 14 to 16 years of age. He wore a black tank spandex-like bodysuit that has a white stripe in the stomach area, showing his lean muscular build that's similar to Naruto. His upper torso is covered by a dark red sleek vest. His arms look like black mechanical prosthetic limbs. His pants, similar to Chap's, are colored red on the inside and black on the outside, lined with yellow edging. The pants were held by a red belt that almost looks like a circular pipe with the center colored green. There are also red pockets lined by white edging on the sides with a weird foreign symbol they never seen before. Lastly, he wore unique shoes that reminded Naruto of Shadow the Hedgehog's own Air shoes. They were completely black with the red tongues being longer. The rims were white and the center had glowing green light in its center. The teen stared at the boy with looks of confusion and curiosity. Whoa, who's this? Kia asked, raising a curious brow as she stared at the boy. Huh? You don't know him? Naruto asked. Nope. First time I've ever seen him. Kia answered. Naruto walked around the capsule as he examined the boy. He tapped on the glass. I wonder how long he's been down here. He gave a startled scream and jumped into the surprised Kia's arms when the ancient appeared again. Would you cut that out? Son of Chaos, this is the companion I talked about. The ancient spoke. And believe me when I say that he's a special case. Naruto and Kia looked curious at what the ancient was saying. Kia noticed Naruto was still in her arms, raising an eyebrow at him as she dropped him on the floor, ignoring the hay that came from him. Allow me to explain, while we were exploring Angel Island, we found a mysterious robot in its jungles. This robot was badly damaged to the point where I assume he was in a great and terrifying battle and lost. Its name was E-123 Omega. What? Naruto yelled in shock as he stood up, surprising Kia slightly. Omega, he was on the island. You know him? Oh my gosh, Kia whispered in surprise. She never would have imagined that there was another resident from Tycho's homeworld that made it here as well. She blinked as she realized something about what Naruto said. Wait a sec, E100. That means. We grabbed Omega and brought him back to Twilight Island for further study once we were finished with Chaos. The ancient explained. We learned much about Omega, his hardware, his former programming and his overall history from before and after he was created. Omega fought a phantom? Kia asked, stunned to hear about this. Naruto smiled softly as he remembered what Amachao said about Omega. He died fighting to the very end to prove to the whole world that he truly was the ultimate robot in the world. That definitely sounds like Omega. I know I'm probably talking non-stop so I'll just get straight to the point. The ancient said as the hologram began to glitch. We had originally planned to rebuild Omega from scratch but realized he would stand out too much in this world and would be turned into a weapon against you. After a while, we decided to have someone, a human you see, inherit Omega's armor and weaponry. Think of him as a spiritual successor. A successor? Kia asked in shock, staring at the boy in the capsule. So wait, you mean this guy is? Naruto trailed off, also looking at the boy. A holographic image appeared next to the ancient, showing the teens the boy lying down on a bed, and they couldn't help flinch at his state. His arms were missing and his clothes were ripped to shreds, looking as though he came from a battle or was attacked while at sea. His clothes, while old, were incredibly wet and somewhat bloody as the blood seemed to have dried on them. He also looked a bit pale, which was probably because he lost some blood. We had no idea who he was or where he came from, but we believed that he was a child soldier fighting in a war. The ancient explained. By some miracle, the child was still alive, but he had no memories of who he is or where he came from. However, because he has been out at sea for who knows how long and how much blood he had lost, the boy was slowly losing his will to live. Yeah. Naruto said, looking at the mysterious boy. The holographic scene changed to show the ancients working on the boy. The scene changed to show the boy, now with a new pair of arms, sleeping in a glass tube filled with orange liquid. When we were healing him, we used the combined efforts of both rebuilt cybernetics from Omega and our own technology to not only help him rebuild his missing arms, but to also give him several amazing abilities that's unique only to him, including the hologram soon began to glitch uncontrollably, much to the two teens' shock. "Hey, what the hell?" Naruto asked, a comical angry expression on his face. "Oh come on," Kia exclaimed, a comical annoyed look on her face. She sighed and shook her head. "You know what, after what happened when I first came here with that computer, I'm not even surprised anymore. The place is old after all. I guess." Naruto mumbled, looking at the boy in a whole new light. "Still, I can't believe that I never thought I would get the chance to see a real-life cyborg in our world. How cool is that?" Huh. That's a good question. Naruto said, crossing his arms and looking thoughtful. "They came here during the Sage of Six Paths era and stayed for a while. That must mean that this guy probably must be hundreds and hundreds of years old." The glitching finally stopped and the ancient reappeared. When Order began his assault and the Chaos Warriors were fighting him, I had hidden the boy in this room to keep him safe. The capsule he is in is designed to put him in a cryogenic sleep as it installs large amounts of information into his brain that affects all 5 senses of his body. "Whoa," the two teens whispered as they stared at each other with awestruck looks. "Son of Chaos," the ancient spoke in a saddened tone, which got their attention. "No words could express how sorry I am for what I've done. If only I could leave the way things were back then, none of this wouldn't have happened. I truly wish I could take it all back, but I can't. All I can do is keep moving forward with this painful reminder of this tragedy." Hearing how much the ancient truly regretted his action made Naruto and Kia feel sorry for the anthro animal. Even though what he did was completely selfish and irresponsible, his heart was in the right place at the time. He only thought about the safety of the island and the emeralds without Chaos there to protect them, which the teens appreciated. Plus, the ancient was really young at the time this happened. The hologram suddenly began to get static, signaling the message is about to end. "I wish you and the boy, whom we gave the codename SH-2003, best of luck on your journey against Order and the Chaos Warriors. I just hope and pray nothing terrible happens on Twilight Island when they have awoken. As for you, SH-2003, I wish you a good and happy life in whatever era you awake in." The computer went off, causing the hologram to shut off. "A bit late for that," Kia said bitterly. "I'll say," Naruto said, looking down at the sleeping cyborg. He immediately had a flat expression. SH-2003. That sounds like a cliché sci-fi name for a robot. It also feels like a reference to something. "So how are we gonna wake him up?" Kia asked curiously before she noticed something on the capsule. Naruto hums to himself before he knocks on the glass comically. "Hey SH-2003, wake up." Kia's sweat dropped as she saw a comical chibi Naruto appearing around the capsule knocking on the glass. She also saw how his eyes had an excited gleam in them. She shook her head and had an amused smile on her face as she went to press the button. Crash, only to stop when Naruto karate chopped the capsule glass, shattering it on the floor, causing her to give him a flat stare. Naruto. Yeah? You do know there's a big red button on the capsule, right?" Kia deadpans, pointing at said button she was about to press. Naruto blinked at her, then towards the button. He shrugs his shoulders, what's done is done. He and Kia look inside the open capsule, wanting to see at least a slight movement. They saw his fingers begin to twitch and move before they were closed into a fist, making them back away. SH-2003 sat up in the capsule, slowly opening his eyes, revealing them to be a unique pupilless amber color. He looked down at his hands, testing out his fingers for a moment before closing them into a fist. His eyes landed on Naruto and Kia, who were looking at him with wide eyes. "Are you the ones who woke me up?" SH-2003 slowly asked in a blank tone, his voice being fit for a boy in their age group. The teens in front of him nodded their heads. Who are you? Naruto took a step forward. I'm Naruto. He held his hand out towards Kia. And this is Kia. Do you know who you are? Indeed. SH-2003 replied blankly. I am SH-2003. I am a cyborg, created as the successor to E-123 Omega. Yes. SH-2003 replied. E-123 Omega, the last of the E-100 series robots created by the evil scientist Dr. Eggman who came from another world and fought against a phantom. I also know about the one known as Son of Chaos. Are you him? Naruto nodded his head with a sheepish smile at being called Chaos's son. Yup. That's me. Wow, the ancient wasn't kidding. That capsule really did teach you a lot of stuff, huh? Kia said in an impressed tone. Indeed. It has taught me much during my sleep before it stopped giving me the required information I need to know. SH-2003 said. That also includes Angel Island and all of the emeralds. How long was I asleep and what happened to Twilight Island? Naruto and Kia looked at each other with frowns on their faces. They looked back at SH-2003 as Naruto walked up to him and held his hand out. Come on. We got a lot to talk about. But not here. Let's head back to the main island. Kia told them. SH-2003 looked at Kia, then towards Naruto and at the offered hand. Understood. His fingers twitched before he grabbed Naruto's hand, earning smiles from the two, just as Kia helped out by placing her hand on theirs. They pulled him out of the capsule and let go of his hand. Kia turns to leave the room with the cyborg following after her. Naruto was gonna follow but stopped as something caught his attention on the floor. He walks towards it, kneeling down and picks it up. It was an old black journal. He can tell it's old because it's covered in dust. He blew the dust away and examined it for a moment. What's this? Naruto, come on, Kia's voice called out. Meanwhile, Hidden Leaf Village. Hokage Tower. Up on top of the Hokage residence roof, Minato Namikaze stared out at the Leaf Village, a small smile on his face as he watched many people, both civilians and shinobi alike, walking around and greeting each other with smiles on their faces. The children were also running around chazzing one another or playing games. It truly is a beautiful sight. Isn't it, Minato? Oh come now, Minato. You know I'm retired. Hiruzen said, making Minato chuckle slightly. I know. But to all of us, you will always be the third Hokage, retired or not. Hiruzen shook his head and looked out at the village, a proud smile on his face. After all these years, this village hasn't changed one bit. It's still as beautiful and peaceful as ever. If Hashirama-sensei was here, he would be proud of us for keeping this village safe. Noticing his successor was quiet, Hiruzen turned to look at Minato and saw him looking at a little boy. The former Hokage immediately knew whom his successor was thinking about as he continued to stare at the lonely child. Any word yet on his whereabouts? Minato continued to watch the boy before he saw other kids running towards him, making a happy smile appear on his face. He shook his head sadly. Still nothing, I'm afraid. I see, Hiruzen said before he sighs and looks up in the clouds. It's been 6 years since I last saw that little ball of sunshine. He closed his eyes and saw young Naruto smiling happily at him. He opens his eyes, turning around and walks away, a sad frown present on his face. I just hope and pray that wherever he is safe and sound. So do I, Minato whispered. He reached into his pocket and took out an old dirty doll version of himself, with a small note attached to it. To the best daddy in the whole wide world, you know, love, Naruto. As he smiled softly at the note and the homemade doll version of himself, Minato clenched his other fist tightly. I promise. I will set things right, Naruto. Hidden Leaf Village. Namikaze's residence. Kushina Namikaze was hanging up wet clothes, humming softly to herself as she was getting all excited. Today was the day Naruki and Minami are coming back home from their mission and she couldn't contain her excitement. It's been a couple of months since her daughters graduated from the academy. They were a part of Squad 7, a first ever 4-man team that consisted of Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, with Kakashi leading them. They left for a mission to the land of snow a couple of weeks ago in order to escort a princess who was also an actress. They've been gone for a while, but now they were on their way back home. Plus the Chunin exams were right around the corner and she hoped the Kakashi would allow them to participate. Mama whoa. Hearing a soft thud made Kushina stop her brief excitement as she turned her attention to the entrance where her laundry basket with the freshly cleaned bedsheets were at. She giggled to herself as she saw small feet comically kicking the air as if they were trying to get out of it. After hanging up the last of the clothes, the last Uzumaki walks up to the basket and picks up the little bundle of joy. Mikazuki Namikaze, what did I say about running around the house? Mikazuki Mika for short, Namikaze, the new addition of their growing family. She has Kushina's red hair tied into two short ponytails and Minato's ocean blue eyes. She wore a simple pink dress that is decorated with red flowers on it that surrounded a crescent moon. Not to do it, you know, Mika answered happily. That's right, Kushina nodded as she sat her 6-year-old daughter down. She puts her hands on her hips and nods her head. Running around this house is very dangerous, you know, you could easily trip and hurt yourself. Mika asked, pouting slightly. But big sis Naruki and Minami do it all the time, true? But that was when they were in the academy. It's important for them to take their lessons very seriously if they want to be great shinobi. Kushina said in a lecturing tone. Mika puffed her cheeks out in an adorable pout. She then noticed something missing on her mama's wrist. Hey, mama. What happened to your pretty bracelet? Kushina's eyes widened as she looked at her wrist and saw her bracelet was missing, making her gasp in alarm. She starts to frantically look around for it. Much to her relief, it was in the basket. There you are. She reached down and picked the bracelet up, which was made out of different seashells and was held by a black string. She saw the string had popped, but it was okay as it was easy to fix. She stares at the bracelet with a dazed expression before tears start to swell up in her eyes. Let's play mommy, a young Naruto's voice spoke from within her head. Kushina hugged the bracelet close to her chest, as though it was a special treasure to her, which to her it was. Mama. Mika tilts her head to the side in curiosity, wondering why her mama looked so sad. Big brother Naruto? Mika asked as her mama nodded. She hums and looks up thoughtfully and then turns to her. Mama, what happened to big brother Naruto? Kushina flinched violently from the question as the awful memories came flooding back into her mind. What she said and what she did to her baby boy before he ran away from home. He's gone away. Only for a little while, she said happily despite the tears that were starting to appear again. Don't worry, he'll be home before you know it, you know. Really? That made Mika smile brightly and cheer in excitement. Yay, I can't wait to finally meet him, you know. She always wanted to meet her older brother for a long time. Whenever they walk past his room, she always sees her family stare at it with sad looks on their faces. At one point, she heard her mother crying in his bedroom. There was also a time when her mother left her with the Sarutobi clan to go out somewhere and come back later with a sad look on her face. She thought that her mama was out looking for her big brother and hadn't found him. To hear her say that he's coming home soon fills her heart with joy. Kushina meanwhile smiles at her daughter's happiness and wanting to meet her big brother. But inwardly, it took all of her willpower not to break down and cry, especially in front of her. 6 years. It's been 6 very long years since her baby boy ran away from home. And in those 6 years, she tried her very best to locate her missing son, only to find the same results as before. Nothing. For 6 long agonizing years, there has been no sighting of Naruto anywhere. It was like he just up and vanished. Jiraiya had used his spy network from different shinobi nations to try and find him, only to end up with nothing. There was no child anywhere that matched his description throughout the nations, which tells them that he probably changed his appearance. She still remembers that day when she had discovered he ran away. She realized how much of an awful mother she was to him after that incident between him and Naruki and wanted to make up with him by having a mother-son time with him. She had figured that he was in his room at the time and went inside to talk to him, only to see that most if not all of his clothes were gone. Realizing that Naruto ran away, she had alerted Minato about it first before going off. She immediately suited up and gathered up a team with her friend Tsume to search for him. Using Inyazuka's heightened sense of smell, Tsume managed to locate Naruto's scent and they followed it with Kushina, praying that she wasn't too late. Sadly, she was. When they went to the spot where Naruto's scent was, they found a dropped kunai on the ground which had Naruto's scent all over it. They then saw a slope going down a hill with a small fissure formed by the mud. The fissure leads to a cliff which also leads to the open sea. The sudden realization hit Kushina hard. Tsume and the team had to use all of their strength to stop the frantic Kushina from going down to the ocean to try and find her son, who no doubt probably ended up somewhere else or worse. The Namikaze matriarch soon broke down into hot tears, forcing herself to accept that Naruto was long gone. But suddenly, she felt woozy and ended up falling unconscious. The next day, she woke up in the hospital where Tsunade gave her that was pregnant. That brought mixed reactions from Kushina. While she was happy to have a 4th child on the way, she was sad because she wouldn't be able to go out and find Naruto. Despite it, she still tried to go out there, but ended up getting forced to stay in the village, not only for herself but for the baby as well. They told her to wait until they got news on Naruto's location. However, as the years passed and they still haven't heard anything about their son, it scared Kushina as she began to believe that he probably died of drowning in the ocean the whole time and they were chasing after a ghost. When Jiraiya actually said that to her face, it took Minato, Tsunade and Hiruzen to hold the raging Kushina back from killing the Toad Sage. And now with no results she began to tear up slightly that Jiraiya might be right. No, Kushina shook her head from the memory. Naruto wasn't dead, she knows he wasn't, he's alive and he's out there somewhere, she can feel it in her heart and soul. For all I know, he probably changed his last name as well. That is what scared her the most. Her little Maelstrom changed his last name and no doubt found a new family. Thinking about something like that made her heart and soul break like shattered glass. She truly wished that it wasn't true. That someone other than them taking care of her child and treating him as their own. To see another woman, a stranger, hugging her son and comforting him with him calling her mommy. Kushina gripped her chest in pain as she felt her heart starting to beat rapidly from the thoughts she was having. She took deep calming breaths. Once she took the last breath she released it as a heavy sigh. She looked at her youngest daughter and saw she was happily dancing around, obviously still happy about meeting Naruto someday. Please, Kushina muttered desperately, hugging the bracelet, which is one of the many gifts Naruto tried to give them before he ran away from home. Please find my little Maelstrom. Twilight Island. Kia's house. And that's it. Naruto said with Kia nodding her head. SH-2003 remained silent, obviously absorbing the new information that was granted to him. The three were currently at Kia's house. By the time the trio left the lab, the funeral had already ended. When they made it to the mainland, a lot of people were shocked stupid from seeing SH-2003 flying using his air shoes. The people believed that he was another lost robot created by the ancients. They also ran into Kia's friends along the way. With some quick introductions, they joined them at Kia's house. As soon as they entered and settled in, Kia and Naruto had to explain to everyone who SH-2003 was, with Naruto having to explain who Omega was. Once that was finished, Kia and friends told SH-2003 about what happened the day they discovered the hidden dungeon on the island next door. As soon as they finished, it was Naruto's turn to tell what happened on his side as the stories became connected. I see. SH-2003 started. So the Chaos Warriors have been released and took the Chaos Emeralds with them. And Order has found someone to pass his powers onto. Yeah. Naruto said. I know. The craziest and wildest story ever told, huh, Omega? Zara asked in a joking manner. There's no need to call me Omega. SH-2003 said, turning to her. I may be his successor, but that doesn't mean I am Omega. So, how about your original name? Kyon asked, but once again SH-2003. I mean, do you remember who you were before, you know? No. I'm afraid I still don't have memories of my past life before coming here. SH-2003 said. The only thing I remember is seeing the ancients fixing me, then waking up in a tube full of water and seeing a robot looking back at me. It tried to say something to me, but I couldn't make out what it was saying. Before I went back to sleep, it pointed at me. The next thing I know, this rush of information just appeared in my head. Nobody said anything as they continued to look at the cyborg. After knowing what I needed to know, I realized that the robot I saw was E-123 Omega. SH-2003 continued. That was the first time I ever saw him and the world around me from inside a dark laboratory. Even after saving me, they never gave me a chance to see the outside world. They just kept me asleep. Is that why you look so surprised when you saw the sun? Kia asked softly. This happened earlier when they made it outside. The cyborg was looking up at the sky with an awestruck expression. Yes. Because I was happy seeing it for the first time in so long. It felt nostalgic. SH-2003 admitted before continuing on. The moment I knew about Omega and his history, I felt happy knowing that I just met the same robot I was supposed to succeed. But I was also sad. I was sad because it was also the last time I will see him again without even knowing what he was saying to me. To me, Omega felt like someone I made a strong connection with. But now, with my memories of my past life, my loved ones and Omega gone, I feel alone. Everyone felt sorry for SH-2003. Waking up to see the world again only to fall back asleep the next second and not experience, it was not a good way to start his life anew after surviving a terrible accident. What's more, this was a young man who's been asleep for centuries, his family, his friends, all of them have long since passed from this world. He probably don't even know if his clan is still alive in this day and age. But how can he when he's lost his memories of them? And the way he felt about Omega made two certain individuals in the room feel the same way. Open your heart. Naruto's face brightens up as he stands up and walks to SH-2003. He plops down next to him, getting everyone's attention. You know, a long time ago, before I was on Angel Island, I lived the first 7 years of my life in a ninja village. He didn't pay attention to the surprised looks on everyone's face as he continued to stare into the cyborg's eyes. As you already know, chakra is the very life energy of this world and without it, you'll die. But me? Well, I'm different. When I was born, I didn't have any chakra in my system. At all. I shouldn't even be alive right now, but I am. Everyone gasped from that info, especially Kia as she leaned closer to hear more of Naruto's childhood. The Guardian himself looked down slightly so that they wouldn't see the lifeless look in his eyes as his childhood flashed in his mind along with the people who had hurt him the most. Because I didn't have chakra, I was always bullied and treated like an outcast. A freak of nature that shouldn't even exist. The pain became too much for me, so I ran away during a storm. I ran and ran with no destination whatsoever. I just wanted to get away from the place that caused me so much pain. Kia silently gasped as she felt the emotions that circled around Naruto. She could feel the deep emotional feelings of anger, sadness, pain and betrayal that he was releasing as he told his story. She couldn't believe that everyone in the village would treat Naruto like that, all because he wasn't born without chakra and couldn't be a shinobi. It was just wrong and disgusting. The people in the room, including SH-2003, also felt the same way as well. They knew shinobi were a bunch of dirty mercenaries, but they didn't think they would stoop so low as to bully or talk about a child just because he didn't have chakra. Now hearing this had made their opinions of ninja to hit an all-time low. But when I started to run again, I tripped and fell down from a cliff, landing in the ocean. Naruto continued his story. I thought I was going to die but I didn't. I was saved by a green light and it brought me to Angel Island. It was chaos. Light returned to Naruto's eyes as he looked up and showed everyone the bright smile on his face. Chaos saved my life that day, not only from death but also from some fate that's even worse than that. It's thanks to him that I have a new home and family. He gave me a second chance to start over. SH-2003 eyes widened slightly from hearing that. I always thought it was by sheer dumb luck or a coincidence that Chaos chose me to inherit his powers, but it wasn't. It was because of the bond that we formed after I was born, something that I didn't even think was possible. When Chaos gave me his remaining powers and disappeared, I was sad too. He was the very first friend I've ever made in a long time. I wanted him to always watch over me. But then I realized something: he wasn't gone. Everyone looked confused by what he meant, except for Kia and Sarabi, who were both smiling happily. The demigod then pounds his fist into his chest. He's here. Naruto smiles happily. Chaos still lives on in my heart. It's the same with Kia too, as Tycho lives on in her heart. SH-2003 blinks and turns to her as she smiles warmly at them, nodding her head at him. He had no idea who Tycho was, but assumed she came from the same world as Chaos and Omega. You're like us, SH, Naruto said happily as he stood up. Chaos, Tycho and Omega came from another world and we got the chance to meet them, even though it was brief. They helped change our lives for the better. We probably wouldn't even be here meeting each other right now if it wasn't for them. Kia gaped at her grandmother, calling her out like that as attention was on her. Grandma, I was only a kid when I called myself that. Everyone except SH-2003 laughed at her expense. Yup, we might be freaks, but we're a special kind of freaks, Naruto laughed as he turned back to SH-2003. See? Me and Kia miss Chaos and Tycho very much. I never met Omega personally, but after hearing about him from my friend back home, he was probably telling you to live up to his legacy. And don't worry about your memories. But what if they don't? SH-2003 asked. That's easy. If your memories don't come back, just move forward and don't think about it too much. Otherwise, you might end up like a certain black hedgehog who lost his memory once and made a lot of questionable decisions during an alien invasion. Naruto cracked a joke at the end. Nobody didn't know whom he was referring or what he was talking about to except for Kia, who let out an amused giggle. Naruto's smile became soft as he fist bumped SH-2003's chest where his heart is located. So don't be sad or feel like you're alone. Not when you have friends like us with you. SH-2003 stared at Naruto, who had a big smile on his face frozen in stunned silence. He looks around the room, seeing everyone smiling at him. Despite being different from them in a whole lot of ways, these people already considered him a friend. And the words Naruto spoke to him had touched his heart and it made him feel happy. A very small smile formed on his face as he closed his eyes and stood up. Yes, thank you Naruto. Everyone. SH-2003 said as Naruto's smile grew bigger and comical. Now, first thing we gotta do is come up with a new name for you, Naruto exclaimed. SH-2003 is a name for an actual robot like Anchao in space. Plus, this is a good chance to help you learn more about the current world, seeing how the information you got in your brain is over thousands of years old. You know, Naruto's right. Roku said, smiling at the idea. Yeah, we can teach SH-2003 about having fun and going on adventures, Zara added in happily. We can also teach him about the latest fashion trends. Anna said happily. Oh, we can also buy him some new clothes while we're at it. What? No way, he's a boy, he's got to learn boy things, Kyon exclaimed before turning to Zara. And like Naruto said, we're not calling him SH-2003. We're gonna call him Zeke. Zeke? No way, he doesn't look like a Zeke. Anna said, examining the android with her hand on cheek. He looks more like an Adam. Adam? You got to be kidding. Zara deadpans. His new name is Steve. They were such confusing meatbags. Wait, where did that meatbag comment come from? Nearby, Naruto and Kia watched this, and they couldn't help but chuckle in amusement. That was good of you for what you said to him. Kia told him, earning a sheepish chuckle from him. Aw shucks, it was nothing. Hearing an old giggle made them turn around to see Sarabi next to them. You really are a special child, aren't you, Naruto? Huh? Naruto blushed from the compliment as he rubbed his head sheepishly. I'm not that special. Oh, but you are. Not just because of the bond you formed with the water spirit. Sarabi said, looking at the smiles on the children's faces while SH-2003 was looking at them with comical blank expression. You have a unique power to bring smiles on everyone's faces and bring them together, despite the hardships you faced in the past. That's what makes you special. She's right. Kia smiled softly. Naruto looked surprised as he stared at the two. He then looked down and hid the blush that appeared on his face. This was the first time anyone has ever said anything nice to him. Sure, there were his friends back on the island, but actual people? Nope. Kia and Sarabi giggled at the suddenly shy Naruto. Suddenly, the sound of music was heard in the house, making everyone turn to Naruto as it was coming from him and saw him face-palming himself. Oh shoot, I completely forgot. Naruto quickly reached into his pocket and took out a small handheld device. It was rectangular in shape and was colored light blue. It had two yellow glowing antennas on top and a touchscreen. There was also a small image of a neutral Chow's head below the touchscreen. Naruto could see it was Amachow calling him. He pushed the answer button and the old worn-out Robo-Chow appeared on screen. Amachow. Naruto, there you are, Amachow cried out happily before his body made a noise. What happened to ya? I've been trying to call you for days, are you okay? I'm fine, buddy. Sorry for worrying you, I just got into a big fight and was knocked out. Naruto replied. A big fight? WW, was it a monster? Amachow asked. He was shocked that Naruto was beaten by some sort of monster. Just what sort of monster would beat his best friend? It was more than one monster. Kia answered as she got on Naruto's shoulder to look at Amachow and not see the heated blush on the demigod's face. The others, including SH-2003, were curious as well and got around Naruto to see who he was talking to. More than one? Wait a minute, who are you guys? Amachow asked curiously. I'm Kia. It's nice to meet you, Amachow. Kia smiles at the Robochow. Oh my gosh, Kai, he's so adorable, Anna said girlishly as she stared at the Robochow with hearts in her eyes. I know, I want one, Zara said happily. Oh my. Sarabi looked at the Robochow with widened eyes. Seeing it reminded her of that thing she found the other day. I wonder she left the room to go get it. More new friends and I'm adorable. Amachow asked before he blushed as he rubbed his head. I guess I gotta focus. Who were these monsters Naruto was fighting that knocked him out for 2 days? They were chaos. Kia answered. See chaos? Amachow asked in shock. But how? I thought. Do you remember the story you told me? The one about Froggy and chaos? Naruto replied, interrupting Amachow. That made everyone blink and turn to him with raised eyebrows. Froggy? Kia asked but then blinked in realization. Oh, Big's friend. Yeah, when Chaos was released from the Master Emerald, a piece of him went missing and was swallowed by Froggy, causing him to grow a tail. Amachow said. Why bring that up? Because something similar happened. Naruto answered. Angel Island appeared in this world a millennium ago. A group of people called the Ancients went there one day and took Chaos's essence, along with several Chow eggs to create another Chaos. Say what? Amachow yelled as his head spun comically around in shock. They stole Chaos's essence and the Chow eggs to create another Chaos. Yes. Kia answered this time. Order, the first Chaos, was created when the Ancients took a Chow that evolved into a light Chaos and mutated it. Later on, the Chow eggs they took hatched and Chaos's essence split itself to them, mutating them and turning them into Chaos as well. That's crazy. What happened next? Amachow asked, his mind spinning from the sudden shock of this revelation. Some crazy old hag got scared of order and corrupted him, turning him bad. He corrupted the others as well, but they were defeated and sealed away on this island. Naruto told him, since he doesn't really want to explain everything again. Kia took over once again. Just the other day my friends and I found them. But when we were going to leave, we found out we were followed by a shinobi. He released order and became one with him, releasing the other Chaos Warriors as a result. You mean like Naruto and Chaos did a long time ago? Amachao asked as they both nodded. So that purple light from before that must have been the shinobi in order. Did you fight him, Naruto? Yeah, and he got me at the last second. Naruto said, clenching his fist from the memory. He even knew I had the Chaos Emeralds with me, he knocked them out of me and gave them to the Chaos Warriors. What? They got the Chaos Emeralds? Amachao asked in comical shock. Not all of them. I got one and Tyrios has one as well. Naruto said, holding the blue emerald in his hand. After Tyrios left, I got jumped by the Chaos Warriors. Now they're out there somewhere doing who knows what. Amachao now felt steam coming out from the sides of his head. We better hurry up and find them. I know and believe me, we will. Naruto said seriously before he smiled happily. Oh yeah, there's someone I want you to meet. Huh? Who? Amachao asked curiously. Naruto turned and faced his pad towards SH-2003, who remained where he was and was now staring at Amachao. Amachao, I want you to meet Zane the Omega. Naruto said happily. He's E-123 Omega's successor. Amachao stared at the artificial human blankly before his face turned into comical shock as he gave a shocked yell, which made the pad float out of Naruto's hand while also causing him to fall back in surprise. Why Omega's successor? Zane blinks multiple times at the pad as it falls back into Naruto's hands. Hello, tiny robot. Oh boy, I think I need to lie down somewhere. Amachao moans as smoke comically came out of his head and his eyes turned into swirls. I'll see you later, Naruto. Okay. Later. Naruto chuckled as he hung up the phone. He turned to everyone and saw them staring at him. What? Zane the Omega? Kia asked him. Yup, Naruto said happily. Why call him that? Roku asked. Oh, nothing. Zane just seems like a pretty decent name. Plus Omega is a nice way to honor him. Naruto said happily. Zane the Omega, Kion hummed before he smiled. That does sound like a cool name. Much better than Zeke. Roku said, ignoring Zera's pout. Zane sounds like a great name. Anna clapped her hands happily. So what do you think? Kia asked, turning to the boy in question. Do you like it? Zane looked at everyone and saw they were staring at him. He looked down and closed his eyes. Zane the Omega. He opens his eyes and looks up at everyone. I think I like that. Everyone smiles happily at Zane for his new name. But then Naruto's face turned serious. Alright. I'm going back to Angel Island to find out where the Chaos Warriors are. Zane, you coming? Affirmative. Zane said, his face serious as well. Everyone, except for Kia, looked surprised at the two. Wait, you guys are going already? Zera asked. We have to. Naruto answered. I've been knocked out for 2 days. That means the Chaos Warriors are causing a lot of destruction somewhere across the world and people are getting hurt or killed as a result. That made the residents tense up in fear as the events of what happened 2 days ago replayed over in their heads. Like Amachao said, we got to hurry and stop them before it's too late. Naruto finished as he began to walk out the door with Zane following him. Wait, Naruto and Zane stopped and turned to Kia, who stood up and stared hard at them. I'm coming too. Absolutely not. Quan spoke up for the first time as he sat up, ignoring the pain. Those creatures are far too powerful and dangerous for you to handle, and it's my fault that they've been released in the first place. Kia shot back at her father, much to everyone's surprise. She never talked back to anyone, let alone her own father. I made the decision to keep going in the lab and because of it, Tyrios followed us there. I'm responsible for this happening. Kia, no one blames you for what happened. Nala said gently. Yeah, Zera agreed. Tyrios is a shinobi. Those guys always hide in the shadows and stuff. Even if we did just leave, he would still be heading there anyway. You can't blame yourself for what happened. Besides, Naruto and Zane are here to take care of them. Roku said. Kia clenched her fists and gritted her teeth. But still, we had the decision to head back while we could and we didn't. All because I wanted to see why I was sensing so much negative emotions and it just made Tyrios follow us. Maybe it's Naruto's responsibility to take care of them, but it's mine as well. She looks at Naruto, staring into his eyes. So I'm going with you too whether you like it or not, Naruto. Naruto blinks but then shrugs. Okay. His reply made everyone's, except for Zane of course, eyes widen in shock, surprise her in a comical fashion. Wait. What did you say? Kia asked. I said okay. Naruto smiles. You can come with us. Honestly, he was expecting something like that as he remembered what Kia told him. After meeting Tycho, she inherited whatever skills and abilities she had. But he can tell she hasn't gotten all of Tycho's power. She couldn't sense chaos energy. He knows this because she didn't sense the chaos emeralds on his person and was shocked by their appearance. Plus, she doesn't know she and everyone else were using chaos drives in their bracelets to power themselves up. Aikul also has a strong connection to the Master Emerald due to her always being around it until she sealed herself in chaos for centuries, so she can sense chaos energy. Kia, however, has never been near the Master Emerald yet, so maybe it could unlock her hidden potential. Plus Kia definitely looks like a decent enough fighter and very strong for a girl her age from what he saw last night. Which reminds him. But first let's have a fight, Naruto said, a feral grin appearing on his face. Everyone was once again surprised, this time by his request. Kia however was the most surprised as she wasn't expecting that. Eh? She accepts Arabi smiled happily and stood up, ignoring the comical shocked looks from everyone's faces and the growing smile on Naruto's. Follow me. The HHHHH. Later, in one of Twilight Island's old training grounds, which miraculously wasn't destroyed, Naruto and Kia stood in the ring, facing one another, with everyone else on the sidelines. Naruto was looking around the training ground. It was a nice big open field with trees, a waterfall and a river nearby. The ring they were in had enough space for movement with white paint drawn in the grass. You know this training ground is nice. Naruto complimented. Just wait till you see the others. Kia said, pounding her fists together, a trait she obviously received from Knuckles. Now, are you sure you want to fight me? Definitely, Naruto said happily before he smirked teasingly at her. But if you're scared then you can back out now, doll face. Kia's eyes widened before they were narrowed into a glare as she looked at the smirking Naruto. Oh, I know you did not just call me that. So what if I did, doll face? What are you gonna do about it, doll face? Kia's eyes were shadowed by her hair. She cracked her knuckles and had a dark aura surrounding her being, which made Naruto begin to sweat fearfully. Kia is going to destroy him. Zara whispered to the others. Anna nodded her head while Kyon and Roku looked to another before giving out silent prayers to Naruto. Next to them Kia's family were there, Nala looking worried, Quan frowning and Sarabi having a serious look on her face. I'm a little worried. Nala said. Why would Naruto suddenly ask Kia to fight him? And why would you agree to have them fight on Kia's behalf? Quan asked his mother angrily. From what we learned, that boy has the powers of an ancient water god and he can easily beat her. It is because Naruto wants to see how well Kia can do in a fight. Zane spoke up, getting the family's attention. That's right. Sarabi said seriously. Naruto also wants to test his skills against Kia. I saw the battle between him and his counterpart and from what I saw, Naruto is more self-taught in how to fight, whereas our Kia had gone through training. So instead of thinking of it as a fight, think of it as a spar. Quan and Nala were surprised by the explanation as they turned back to the ring. So are you ready? Naruto asked nervously. Boast. Definitely. Kia said in a hard tone, making Naruto tense. Why did I have to go and call her that? I blame the action movies. Sarabi shook her head in amusement at the shaking Naruto before stepping up. The match between Naruto Kyosu of Angel Island and Kia of Twilight Island will now begin. Are both fighters ready? They nodded. Fight. Battle music. Emerald Beach Sonic Battle. Original soundtrack. The moment that word left her mouth, Kia made a mad dash towards a surprised Naruto before jumping for a roundhouse kick. Naruto quickly blocked it using his forearm before he grabbed her leg and threw her away from him, causing her to flip in the air and land on her feet. Naruto quickly charged at her by sliding across the ground and sent a right hook at her. Kia blocked it before she went in for leg sweep, which made Naruto jump over her. He then tried to grab her, though Kia grabbed his arms and kickflipped him. It didn't even hurt him, Kia noticed as all he did was look up. She quickly used the advantage to kick his stomach. However, she didn't expect to have her leg caught by a hand made of water that came out of Naruto's stomach. She looked at Naruto and saw he had a cheeky grin on his face. Kia's eyes widened as Naruto's arms turned into tentacles, holding her in place. His cheeks then puffed out, which made Kia's eyes widen. You wouldn't. Naruto released a powerful blast jet of water from his mouth, which blew Kia back and made her yell comically. The demigod then stopped his attack once he made sure he got enough space. Kia stood up, soaking wet before she shook her body. She then glared at Naruto when she heard him laughing. She grins evilly as she whispers in a low voice. Heaven's justice. Several thin but straight lightning bolts formed above Naruto's head and he got hit by them as he got comically electrocuted. Once Naruto was dazed, she then did the famous and legendary spin dash, landing a direct hit on Naruto's stomach, pushing him back before she finished with a kick. Again, it didn't hurt him, though Naruto shook his head from the earlier attack. He stared wide-eyed at Kia, who grins hockeyly, a hand placed on her hip. Damn, was that heaven's justice she used earlier? And did she actually do the famous spin dash? Sonic the Hedgehog's original technique. So cool, who would have thought she knew how to do the famous spin dash? But then again, back in Chaos's world, Sonic and his friends knew how to do it. He won't lie, he knows how to do it as well. Naruto stood up and had a playful feral grin on his face. Oh yeah, this is getting fun, chow chow, get ready. Kia. Naruto cheers before he transforms. Because I'm about to get chaotic, he charged at Kia, his fist growing large. Insert song. Scandalous. By Mystique. He immediately rolled out of the way from the enlarged fist, watching as it slammed into the ground. However, the moment she stood up, she felt something wet grab her ankle. She looked down in surprise and saw a water tentacle. The tentacle then threw her up in the air. The island princess gave a startled yell from getting thrown in the air. She looks down to see Naruto charging at her like a rocket with water surrounding him, but his glowing eyes are shown. Instead of being intimidated, she gave a playful smirk. Using her incredible acrobatics and flexibility, she dodged Naruto's move just as her bracelet started to glow. As it did, glowing blue markings appeared all over her. From her legs, arms, face, even her hair, which actually looks a little different. Naruto stared wide-eyed at the girl's sudden transformation. He knew that bracelet does have a chaos drive in it, he can feel the sudden increase of power that's radiating off her, and it's slightly around his level. Is this what Professor Gerald was accomplishing when he wanted to try transferring the energy into people, or was this different? Hey, stop daydreaming and pay attention. Naruto's eyes widened as he looked down and saw Kia in a crouching position. She uppercuts him in the chin, leaving behind a trail of blue energy and sending him flying upwards. While he flips in the air, rubbing his chin. Okay, that hurt. He smirks and then teleports behind Kia to attack her before he quickly ducked to avoid a roundhouse kick from her. Nearby, everyone looked on awestruck by the fighting the teens were having. To be honest, it kind of looked like they were dancing. Kia being graceful, flexible and fluid yet still aggressive, while Naruto was wild, feral and unpredictable, mainly due to him using his water abilities to try and catch her off guard. Whoa, this is awesome, Kion exclaimed in excitement. Though he did flinch after Naruto tried to fire water out his mouth, only for Kia to headbutt him, dazing him slightly and kicking him away. Amazing, Roku said, awestruck by the sparring match. I knew Kia was a pretty good fighter, but I didn't think she was this good. Yeah, just look at them go, Zera said happily. Oh, Kia go, Anna cheered. She then freaked out when Kia was hit again by a water jet coming out of Naruto's mouth. You gross, why does he keep spitting at her? Negative. Zane denied, getting the children's attention. A spit is the ejection of the saliva forcibly from one's mouth. The attack Naruto used isn't spit but actual water. That's right. Sarabi nodded in agreement. Remember, Naruto is blessed by the water spirit. As you can plainly see, Naruto not only inherited his powers but his form as well, meaning he can control the very water itself if he wanted to. If anything, it's like he's a living wave. Cool, the children sang, staring at Naruto as he spun around, his fists glowing purple and stretching out. Nala was smiling happily at Kia. She turns to her husband, who had a prideful expression on his face as he watched his daughter spar with a boy she dreamed of meeting. It's amazing, isn't it? She asked. What's amazing? Quan asked, turning to his wife. Our daughters fight. Nala giggled at that, wrapping her arms around her husband. Well, the fight is amazing, but that's not what I'm talking about. Look closer at her face. Quan blinked and did so, watching as his daughter and Naruto were engaged in hand-to-hand combat as they traded blows with each other, blocking or dodging one another's attack. He narrowed his eyes at his daughter before his eyes widened. Kia wore the brightest and happiest smile he has ever seen on her face. She looked like she was having a lot of fun. But it wasn't because she was fighting in some spar. No, she was happy because of that boy. Naruto Kaosu. The boy who bonded with the god Chaos. He still remembered that day after Kia met her previous incarnate. She literally dragged him, her mother and grandmother into the living room and told them how he met her in person. After she was finished explaining her story, Kia told him specifically that she wants to train, not only to control her powers, but in martial arts as well, so that one day when Naruto comes to the island, it will be for when she goes to Angel Island with him. That's what hurts Quan the most. His only daughter left Twilight Island, her home. Ever since that day, it has always been her dream to meet Naruto and go to Tycho's former home, to go on a grand adventure. Now, as much as it pains him to do this, it looks like her dream is about to come true. She's really looking forward to this, isn't she? Quan asked, a sad smile present. Yes. She is. Nala replied softly. She's truly grown up a lot. Sarabi said, looking at her son. There's no need to worry about her, my son. Remember what I told you, destiny has brought her and Naruto together for something amazing. They will overcome any challenge that comes their way. Back to the battle, the two teens stood a few meters away from each other. Naruto, still in his Chaos Zero form, and Kia, still in her mysterious transformation, stared at each other, both of them not even winded after the sparring match. Naruto observed his opponent. This girl has definitely got some serious training done during her early life, especially with that transformation of hers. Not only did she inherit Tycho's powers, she also seemed to have a good amount of strength that could impress even old hag Tsunade. He also noticed that she got some seriously good speed on her. He could tell from how she would always charge after knocking him back several times. Well, she's not Sonic or Shadow fast, but still fast nonetheless. The way she dodged his various attacks told him that she has incredible agility that could match his own. She also seems to have incredible durability as well as she was able to handle any of his stronger physical attacks, whether or not it's because of her transformation, he didn't know. He can also tell that that wasn't all she was showing him. Kia herself observed her opponent, eyes narrowed and focused as she watched every part of his body. Amazing. Naruto is truly amazing. 6 years of having Chaos's powers and self-training himself, Kia could honestly say Naruto is indeed a powerful individual. His senses are incredibly sharper than the average person, even a shinobi, and if he did meet a shinobi, she can tell that Naruto will be able to take them down, no problem. Insert song end. Suddenly Naruto closed his eyes and nodded, a pleasant smile on his face as he got out of his fighting stance, making her blink. That's it. I'm done. He said as he returned to normal. What? Kia asked, her markings disappearing as she stood up as well. Huh? Kia's friends asked while her family and Zane looked on. I'm done. Naruto repeated, still smiling. There were no winners here. I just wanted to see how strong you were. His honest reply caught the island princess off guard. Wait, is that why you wanted to fight me? Kia asked, a brow raised. Well, yeah. Naruto answered. I mean, once we go after the Chaos Warriors, there's a chance we might run into some ninja or bandits, maybe even monsters. And since you were able to hold your own against me, I can tell you'll be great out there on your own. Kia blushed from the compliment, causing her to play with her hair shyly. Her friends cheered at the incredible match as they ran up to them, dragging Omega along, and gave them compliments of how amazing they were. Juan had a proud smile on his face as he clapped his hands. That truly was an incredible match. That boy is something else, especially Kia. She truly is. Nala responded with Sarabi nodding in agreement. The adults then walked up to the children. I guess that means you'll be going now, right? Zara asked Kia sadly. The happy atmosphere around the group died the moment that question was asked. The children looked at Kia sadly as she herself looked down sadly as well. Yeah, I guess so. Naruto blinked at the atmosphere but then smiled. Hey, why the long face? His question got everyone's attention. You guys are acting like you're never going to see each other again. He's right. Sarabi said in agreement. There's no need for you to be sad. We know. It's just Anna tried to say but stopped when Quan walked up to his daughter. Kia. Daddy? Quan looked a little nervous but then coughed into his fist. After watching your match I realized that maybe I was wrong. We have been training you for 6 years now. Preparing you for something like this. And I can easily tell you that you are ready. Daddy, Kia said in a stunned tone. She then gasps when her mother comes and hugs her. Just promise us you'll be safe, my beautiful little flower. Nala said softly. Mama Kia felt tears gather in her eyes as she hugged her back. Quan joined in on the family hug as well, wrapping his arms around them both. Everyone watched a loving moment with smiles. Zane watched a touching moment and smiled a little bit. His eyes moved to the side and saw Naruto giving him a toothy smile. What? I saw that you were smiling. No, I wasn't. Yes, you were. Naruto continued to smile. He shivered slightly when he felt a glare on his person. He looked to see who was glaring at him and saw it was Quan, a scary look on his face. He trembled when he saw him walking towards him until he stood directly in front of him. Listen up, boy, because I'm not going to repeat myself. Quan said, a dark look on his face as he stared at Naruto's shrunken chibi form. My little flower is a capable fighter, but that doesn't mean she's invincible. You had better make sure to protect her with your very life. That made Naruto blink in surprise. That's what he came here to tell him. To protect Kia. Of course he was going to protect her and he won't be alone as he got Zane with him. Don't worry. Naruto said, his voice full of determination. I'll make sure nothing happens to her. Good. And another thing. Quan leaned down to Naruto's face, making him lean back as his eyes widened comically and sweat began to roll down his face. If I find out that either of you did anything to Kia, be it kissing her or touching her, his face turned comically demonic as he glared at Naruto. Nothing's gonna stop me from ripping your manhoods and feeding them to the dogs. Are we clear? Got it. Naruto said with a comical expression as he hid behind Zane's back, who comically stared blankly at the man. Quan was about to nod in satisfaction, but then got hit in the head by Kane. Ouch, mother, he turns to her and sweat drops when he sees her, a blushing Kia and Nala glaring at him. Kia's friends were also staring at him with comical looks on their faces. Would you stop and leave those two alone? Sarabi asked, shaking her head. I swear you're just like my father was when I was young. Quan chuckled sheepishly from that. She walks up to Naruto, holding a bag in her hand before she holds it out to him. Here you go, Naruto. Naruto tilted his head, curiously staring at the bag but taking it out of the old woman's hand. What's this? A new set of clothes for you. Along with something that I found the other day. I think it belongs to your little friend. Sarabi answered, earning a surprised look on Naruto's face. Something for Amachao. And new clothes for me. I know that you've been living on an island in just a shredded loincloth, but since you'll be going on a journey, you will need something more suitable to travel in. Sarabi said with a sly look on her face. After all, you wouldn't want any girls trying to look at your little area, do you? Eh? Naruto blushed in embarrassment as he looked down at his loincloth. He turned to the girls and saw them turn away with heated looks on their faces, while the boys were chuckling to themselves, making his blush deepen further. Thank you very much, ma'am. He bowed his head in gratitude. Still Naruto was stunned. He was only here for 1 day, well 2 days if you count him being unconscious, and already this kind old woman gave him a stranger, a new set of clothes. It has been a while since he's seen people, so of course this would stun him. Plus, the last person that did give him something nice was the old man from the Leaf Village before he ran away. The old man. Just thinking about him brought a sad smile on Naruto's face as tears gathered in his eyes. Man, it's been so long since he had last seen him. He had wanted to leave a note or something to him before he left, but he didn't. He just upped and ran away just like that. He really misses him a lot. After all, out of everyone in that village, he was the only one who cared about him. Naruto. Naruto jumps, seeing that everyone is staring at him. Kia was looking a little worried. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto replied to her question. So you ready to go? Kia didn't buy it. Just now, she sensed sadness coming off of Naruto as he stared at the bag her grandmother gave him. He must have thought about something or someone from his past. For now, she wouldn't pry on the subject. Because right now, it was time for them to go. To stop the Chaos Warriors and meet up with Tyrios. Yeah. I'm ready. Kia replied. Okay. Naruto nods. Just stand right next to me. Kia and Zane nodded and stood on either side of the Guardian as he smiled at them before turning to Kia's loved ones. Everyone. I just want to say that it was nice meeting you all. I know it's been a couple of hours since we officially met. But the time we spent together was a lot of fun. You all have been incredibly nice to me, a complete stranger, and for that, I am truly grateful. I will treasure the time we've spent. And when this is all over, Naruto smiled softly at them. I hope we can continue to make more memories together. Everyone was stunned by his passionate words. He spoke as if they had become something very precious to him. Anna and Zara were a couple of blushing hot messes as they stared at his beautiful prince-like smile on his face. Kyon smiles happily and nods in agreement while Roku smiles at Naruto. Juan smiles at the young man in front of him. He will forever be thankful to him. After all, he was the one healed him earlier. Sarabi smiles at Naruto as though he was her grandson, and Nala herself was smiling happily. Of course. You and Zane are welcome here anytime. Naruto nods to Nala happily. He raised his hand in the air and closed his eyes, just as the blue Chaos Emerald appeared in it and began to glow. Kia looks to her family and friends one last time, staring at them lovingly. See you later. Were her final words to her family as the trio vanished in a blue light. All was silent as everyone stared at the spot where the trio disappeared to, eyes widened slightly at the technique Naruto used. Okay. I'll admit between Naruto and Zane, Zara spoke up. Naruto is the hottest guy in the world. Anna nodded in agreement while everyone else stared at them with sweat drops running down their heads. Angel Island. Altar of the Emeralds. Some of the Chow were there playing around the fountain while some were playing with some toys. Amachao was among as he floated back and forth, his hands tapping each other. Oh boy. Oh boy. Where are you, Naruto? He stops and looks down. If he were a real Chow, his face would show concern. I sure hope he's. A flash of light appeared in front of him and he found himself staring into a pair of ocean blue eyes. Okay, Amachao screams in comical fright as his body starts to act up but is caught by Naruto. His scream caught the other Chow's attention. Whoa, easy Amachao, Naruto said as his little buddy calmed down. Naruto, you're back. Amachao quickly hugged Naruto's face while the others cheered and floated over to their friend, joining the hug. Hey, take it easy guys, Naruto laughed as their pudding-like hands tickled him. Zane and Kia watched the Chow embrace Naruto with various reactions. Zane just blinked while Kia stared in awe at the Chow. Oh my ancients. Even though she saw them the other day while she was still in her spirit form, she was still excited. But now that she's actually here, body and all, she felt a large amount of emotions running through to her as memories of her time going through Tycho's life flashed through her mind like a television. She remembers the first time she saw the Chow. She wouldn't stop screaming as she saw the cute little creatures. She absolutely wanted to take one and hold it in her arms, never wanting to let it go. But of course it was a memory and she couldn't interact with them, much to her disappointment and annoyance. She also remembers seeing the memory of when the Knuckles tribe attacked the altar. Seeing that event almost traumatized her. She couldn't stop crying as she watched Pachacamac and his men storm the altar, knocking Tycho unconscious as they trampled over her and the Chow, while also injuring and killing them. Seeing that horrifying event was too much for Kia as she woke up screaming and crying, which made her family run into her room and comfort her throughout the night. On that day after Kia met Tycho, she swore to herself that she will never let anything like that happen again. Which is one of the main reasons why she kept on training throughout her childhood to protect Angel Island and the emeralds alongside Naruto. And the second, it wasn't that important. Now, today, Kia is right here on Angel Island, standing in front of the Chow. Her inner child is screaming at her to hold one of them in her arms. The only bizarre thing about this is that for some reason as she stared at Naruto and the Chow, she saw a vision of chaos playing with them. Zane turned to Kia, who was in a daze as she stared at the scene and saw a tear slid down her cheek. Seeing that honestly surprised the cyborg, even though his face didn't show it. Why are you crying? Kia turns to Zane before touching her cheek, feeling wetness. She quickly wiped it away before Naruto could see. Sorry. I guess I'm just happy. She looks down happily. I've been dreaming about this moment for a very long time. Now my dream has finally come true. I'm here on Angel Island. That's good then. Zane said as he looked around the area. I know. It's beautiful, isn't it? Kia asked, looking at the altar. The ancients definitely did an amazing job rebuilding the altar with their technology. It looked exactly how it did during the Knuckles clan's reign, but even better. The only difference is that in the central pillar, where the Master Emerald lies, there was no roof. There was just a wall held by the pillars. Thanks to his heightened senses, Naruto heard everything Kia said, and he wore a small happy smile on his face as a giggle erupted from his lips. He turns to his friends. Hey guys, I got some new friends I want you to meet. Naruto spoke up from his laughter as the Chow stopped what they were doing. He then motioned his hand towards Kia and Zane. Everyone meet Kia of Twilight Island and Zane the Omega. Kia and Zane? Chow asked, a happy smile on his face as he floated around them happily. He went to Kia first. Hello, I'm Chow and welcome to Angel Island. Kia giggles at the robot Chow. Hello Chow, it's nice to meet you face to face. Yeah, Chow nods happily before flying over to Zane and hugging his face happily. It's definitely nice to meet you, Zane. Yes. Zane states before picking the Robochow off his face. It's nice to meet you as well. He stops for a moment as a thought crosses his mind. I have a question. Do you know anything about Omega's brothers? The E100 series? Of course I have knowledge of just about everything from my world, Chow said before scratching his head sheepishly. Though I have limited knowledge about this world. Zane gained a small smile from that. I see. If we have time, I want to learn more about them. If you don't mind, that is. Somehow, despite being a robot, you can feel a big happy smile appear on Chow's face. Sure thing, and while we're at it, we can also. Naruto pulled Chow back towards him, a water tentacle coming out of his back. He stared at his little buddy and released him. He placed a finger on his lips, telling him to be quiet. He turns his head, prompting the Robochow and android to do the same. All the Chow in the area stared at the newcomers with looks of surprise and curiosity, but their attention was solely on Kia. They slowly walked towards her, making noises while doing so. Tycho's first incarnate remained still, her eyes widened slightly in awe as she watched the friendly creatures coming towards her. One of the Chow walked faster towards Kia, who smiled at the adorable creature as she got on her knees and picked it up, making the dot on its head turn into a heart as it cheers, melting her heart in pure happiness. Cute Kia hugs the Chow, rubbing her cheek against its own happily. Oh my gosh, you guys are even more adorable up close. The Chow all wore happy smiles on their faces as they crowded around Kia, making happy noises. Some of them even went to Zane and was hanging on his body like a totem pole. Naruto placed his hands behind his back happily as he and Chow watched the interaction between the Chow and his new friends. Though he did laugh at the Chow hanging off of Zane and the funny expression he wore on his face. Hey Naruto? Chow whispered in his ear. Who exactly is Kia? The others are saying she reminds them of Chaos's friend Tycho. Naruto chuckled. That's because Kia is Tycho's reincarnation. Oh well, that makes Chow paused right there as he processed what Naruto just told him. Hutty, he was silenced as Naruto placed his hand on his mouth again. Began long story. Let Kia explain it later. Naruto told him as Chow nodded once more. Kia was still gushing over the Chow as she pet or kissed one of them. She was going to continue but then noticed a glowing green light. Everyone else noticed this as well as they looked up at the altar. Naruto looks curiously at it before he turns to Kia and his eyes widened as he saw a pink aura surrounding her being. He looked at her metal bracelet and saw it was glowing, more than likely reacting to the Master Emerald. He looked between all three before he pounded his fist into his open palm. Hey Kia. Naruto called out, getting her attention. Come with me for a second. Kia tilted her head to the side and watched as Naruto was walking up the steps to the altar. Her eyes widened as she realized what he was doing. He was going to take her to the Master Emerald. She stood up and followed after him, both walking at the same pace. She was both excited and nervous. Excited at the fact that she was going to see the Master Emerald up close and personal, yet nervous because she doesn't know what to do in this situation. Naruto has been living on the island for 6 years, meaning that he is obviously much closer to the Master Emerald. But her? She's only seen it through her dreams. She knows that the Master Emerald is sentient in some way, but she doesn't know how to communicate with it like Tycho has done before. She'll just have to follow her memories of her past life. So Naruto started, interrupting Kia from her thoughts. That bracelet you have is definitely something special. What is it exactly? You mean the power bracelet? Kia asked, looking at her power bracelet. They were created by the ancients a long time ago to help us unlock our hidden power. Hidden power? Naruto asked, an interested look on his face. Kia nodded. The bracelet allows the user to tap into the power that lies dormant within us. They enhance our ability to fight in any way we want, but it's only temporary. Temporary? Wait a sec, who told you about this hidden power thing? Naruto asked curiously. No one. Kia admitted sheepishly. That answer made Naruto comically trip on his step as he tried to regain his footing. He eventually got it and looked at her with a dumbfounded look. It's what the legend said. Naruto continued to stare at her with that dumbfounded expression on his face, but then shook his head. He looks at her with a serious expression. I think those legends might be wrong. What do you mean? Kia asked, wondering what he was talking about. Kia, have you ever heard of a chaos drive? Naruto asked, earning a shake of the head. Chaos drives are basically chaos energy in crystallized forms. Kia's eyes widened. They were created by Dr. Eggman's grandfather to transfer energy into living beings. Now Kia herself almost tripped on her step, making Naruto stop and turn to her in comical surprise. What? Eggman's grandfather? Ah why yeah. Naruto said, rubbing his head sheepishly. See, after Robotnik got locked up, the government GUN took the chaos drives and used them to power up their robots. Not only that, they can also be used to raise a Chao-specific skill. Kia scratched her cheek and had an awkward look on her face. She doesn't know what a GUN is, but she knows it's something from Tycho's world. That's interesting and all, but what does that have to do with the bracelet? It has everything to do with the bracelet. Naruto replied happily. Because your bracelet has a chaos drive in it, I know, because I can sense chaos energy. What? Kia's eyes widened in shock. She looked down at her bracelet and noticed how it was glowing along with the Master Emerald, staring at it in astonishment. Are you serious? So then all this time we were powered by chaos energy? Yeah. I think when those ancient guys came to the island, they must have found some notes about them over at the workshop in the Mystic Ruins. Naruto said, looking up thoughtfully. They probably took the original concept and combined them with those bracelets so that they can power someone up, granting them a temporary form. Yeah, but my form lasts longer than most. Kia revealed, getting a confused look from Naruto. Normally the form lasts about a good 5 minutes for everyone, but for some reason mine's last longer than that, and we didn't know why. But now, after hearing about these chaos drives things, it all makes sense. Man, and here we are thinking these bracelets unlocked our hidden power. She looked a little down at what Naruto noticed. Who could blame her? All this time she and everyone else believed the power bracelets helped them unlock their full potential when in fact it just gave them a temporary power boost. He'll be honest, when Naruto first came to the island, he was surprised to not see a single ninja on the island, yet they know they exist. So it told him that these people never bothered to train in ninjutsu. They relied on the power bracelets along with any weapons they have in their arsenal. Looks like in this world, people have different ways to fight without using chakra. Everyone has a hidden power inside them. Naruto told her, getting her attention. Sometimes, in order for us to release it, we have to look deep within ourselves to find it or have something unlock it for us. You may have gained some of Tycho's powers, but I get the feeling that you haven't gotten all of it. They reached the top of the altar, and Kia couldn't help but widen her eyes in amazement. There it is. The Master Emerald in all its glory. It's just as beautiful as it was in Tycho's memories. The glowing only adds more beauty to it. And I think I know how you're going to get them. Naruto said, glancing at her with a bright smile on her face. He gently grabbed Kia's hand and led her to the emerald. Wait, Kia stuttered, making Naruto stop and turn to her in confusion. She shyly looked down. Are you really sure it's okay? This is a sacred holy ground and you've been here longer than me. I don't know if it's okay. Naruto smiled in reassurance. I trust you, Kia. Not because you're Tycho's reincarnate, but because you're my friend. Even the Master Emerald trusts you as well. Kia looked surprised by that last statement. She looked back at the spinning Master Emerald with a stunned expression. It does? She asked as Naruto nods happily. A small smile replaced her expression as she nodded her head and continued until she stood in front of the Master Emerald. She slowly raises her left hand to touch it, but for some strange reason, she couldn't. She noticed her hand was trembling and she wasn't sure if it was because she was nervous or anxious. She didn't have to wait for long as she saw Naruto's hand touching her trembling left. She glanced at him from the side and watched him nodding at her with a smile. I'll help you. Naruto said, causing Kia to nod, a blush forming on her face. They both turned to the Master Emerald as Naruto gently brought her hand towards it. The moment her hand touched the massive emerald, the glow around the emerald got brighter than it was before. Naruto moved away while Kia still had her hand on the Master Emerald. He looked towards her and his eyes widened as he saw Kia's eyes glowing green as the blue markings of her power bracelet appeared around her body, only this time they were glowing green. Energy came out of the Master Emerald and began to travel its way all over Kia's body, making her float slightly, along with her hair. The chaos drive on her power bracelet began to glow green. But then, much to Naruto's amazement, her bracelet began to vanish in bits of light while the chaos drive remained active. The object suddenly turned into energy and it went inside Kia. Awesome. Kia meanwhile didn't know what was going. The moment her hand touched the Master Emerald, she felt something deep down inside her awakened. She could also feel the energy of the Master Emerald flowing inside her like a gentle flowing water. And it felt amazing. She never knew the energy of the Master Emerald would feel like this. Is this what Tycho and Knuckles felt whenever they were near it or using it? Suddenly, she started to have visions of many things, Tycho sealing herself in chaos inside the Master Emerald, the rise and birth of Angel Island, all of its past guardians from certain points in time, with Knuckles being the last of them. She then recited Tycho's prayer. The servers are the 7 chaos. Naruto's eyes widened slightly from hearing those words coming out of Kia's mouth. Just now, he heard another voice speaking in sync with Kia, and he already knew who the other voice belonged to. Chaos's power, power enriched by the heart. The controller exists to unify the chaos. Naruto stared on in amazement, not noticing Zane, and the others were there with him as they watched the Master Emerald give its energy to Kia. Naruto, for a moment, thought he was seeing things because in that little second, he saw Kia's hair turn into a pulsating peach yellow, then turn flashing pink, before it returned to its normal color. The glowing of the Master Emerald soon vanished, yet Kia still kept floating. She slowly fell back to the surface, just as her hair stopped floating as well. She removed her hand from the Master Emerald and took a couple of steps back holding her head as she felt a little bit dizzy before Naruto rushed in and held her. Easy. Naruto told her. Hey, are you alright Kia? Amachao asked in a worried tone. Yeah. I'm cool. Kia answered, removing herself from Naruto, shaking her head slightly before giving everyone her attention. What was that? Zane asked, his voice having a tiny hint of curiosity. That was cool Naruto said in awe. How do you feel? I don't know. Kia answered. I feel like a new kind of power woke up inside me. She looks down at her power bracelet, but then her eyes widen as she sees it is gone. What happened to my bracelet? It's gone. When the Master Emerald gave you its energy, the bracelet vanished along with the chaos drive. But I don't think that means you can't access your form. Naruto told her but also confused her. Remember what I told you, the bracelet had a chaos drive in it, meaning you and everyone else back on Twilight Island entered a state that runs on chaos energy. Kia's eyes widened slightly. That's right, chaos energy is the energy that generates by transforming thoughts into power. So then the power bracelets were reacting to their thoughts and helped grant them access to a new form. All because of the chaos drives placed in them. She had that bracelet as a gift from her father before the start of their training together and she's been holding on to it ever since, without even knowing she was using a chaos energy-based form. But now that my bracelet is gone and that I'm fully connected to the Master Emerald, that means Kia had a small grin on her face as she closed her eyes and concentrated on her form. In a burst of energy, her markings appeared again, though this time, her entire body is coated in a blue-pink aura mixture of chaos energy and her own spirit energy. She opened her eyes, showing they were glowing neon blue. She looks down at herself happily. I did it, cool Naruto said, eyes full of amazement and wonder. He can sense and feel the chaos energy around her, and it was incredible with that amount of chaos energy unleashed, she could be as powerful as Shadow the Hedgehog was. Oh my Chao Amachao exclaimed, looking comically surprised. Chao the other Chao were equally awestruck by Kia's new appearance, judging from exclamation marks on their head. Amazing Zane said, an impressive look on his face. How do you feel now? Naruto asked curiously. I feel even stronger than I was before. Kia admitted, clenching her fists. It's like I did more than just enter the form I was in. Not only did I feel chaos energy surging through me, I also felt my spirit energy become enhanced. I think the form somehow evolved into something else, like some sort of chaos boost. Zane finished. Yeah, that's what Kia said. She closed her eyes and deactivated her form. Chaos boost. That's a perfect name Naruto said happily, turning to Zane. Where'd you get that name from? Zane shrugged. It just came to me. Naruto and Kia looked at him in confusion before Naruto's eyes went wide with realization. Hey Omo, did Shadow ever use Chaos Boost? Shadow? Amachao asked but then shook his head. Nope, I never seen him use it. I didn't even know such a thing exists. Whatever it's supposed to be, it looks like the Master Emerald unlocked it for me with many other powers. Kia said, a stunned look on her face. She trembles slightly before she jumps in excitement. Awesome, this is totally awesome. She then hugs Naruto, Amachao and Zane tightly. Thanks so much you guys. Naruto blushed a deep red from the hug, especially since her face was close to his. Amachao felt really happy that he helped as he rubbed his head, and Zane looked a tiny bit stunned by the hug, judging from his widened eyes. Kia then released herself from her newly made friends and gained a confident smirk. And guess what? I can now sense the location of the Chaos Emeralds. Sweet Naruto grins. You now have Emerald Radar. Yeah, I have Emerald. Wait, what? Kia asked, staring at Naruto in confusion. Emerald Radar? Naruto repeated. It's a skill that Knuckles and Rouge had. Not sure about Tycho, but I think she had it along with Chaos. Think of it as a sixth sense. They do say the best treasure hunters can feel what they're looking for this way, meaning it can be used to locate the emeralds or just about any other treasure. Kia raised a brow at him, but he just smiled. She smiled herself and shrugged. She then looked serious. The Master Emerald also showed me visions of where the Chaos Warriors are located. They're at the 5 great shinobi nations. Naruto and Zane's eyes were narrowed, but Naruto's eyes narrowed even further. Great. Of course they would be at the shinobi nations. They're at the shinobi nations. Amachao asked, sounding a bit nervous. That doesn't sound very good. Do you know where exactly? Zane asked. Kia shook her head. They split and went off into different countries, but I can pinpoint them. An Ai is in the land of fire. Gaia, the land of earth. Frost, the land of snow. Zenon, the land of lightning. And Veu is in the land of wind. What about Tyrios? Naruto asked. Kia frowned in thought. I don't know. I mean I sensed the emerald he took in the shinobi nations with the others, but I couldn't see him. It's like he's blocking me from seeing where he's located. Naruto hums as he crosses his arms, closing his eyes in thought. It sounds like Tyrios doesn't want them to know where he's at right now. Well, at least they know he's somewhere in the shinobi countries, so that's good, right? The Guardian opened his eyes and looked at Kia and Zane. We'll worry about Tyrios later. Right now, we know where the Chaos Warriors are, so we better head out and take care of them. Otherwise, he looks down. The shinobi will no doubt try to seal the Chaos Warriors and make it Jinchuriki. We can't let that happen, especially since they're a part of me. Kia and Zane nodded, both well aware of what a Jinchuriki is. Zane knew about them from the information that the ancients planted inside his head as the Sage of Six Paths was the first Jinchuriki in history. Kia herself heard about them after hearing the stories from some of the men back home when they came from their travels. The power of a human sacrifice. Kia found herself disgusted by hearing those words. Jinchuriki are basically humans who have one of the 9 legendary tailed beasts sealed within them, either at birth or an early age of their life. The shinobi see their Jinchuriki as weapons to be used in times of war and as such would train them to become those weapons. Not only that, but the people would see the Jinchuriki as the monsters themselves and mistreat them because of it. Honestly, it tore Kia up inside as she felt sorry for the Jinchuriki and their tailed beasts. The Jinchuriki were forced to live an awful life of seclusion from everyone in their village and the tailed beasts because of how people saw them as mindless monsters or demons because of the raw destructive power that they wield. But Kia knew better than that. The beasts weren't mindless and they sure as hell weren't demons either. All they wanted to do was just to live in peace, yet instead the shinobi would try to hunt them down and seal them against their will. This mess started after the rise of the hidden ninja villages. When she was younger, she always wanted to meet a Jinchuriki and figure out a way to release them. But she learned that if a tailed beast was released from their Jinchuriki by force, then they would die. Another reason why she didn't like shinobi very much. Naruto suddenly remembered the bag of clothes he had. He looked inside to look, but then his eyes widened as he saw something shocking. He reached inside the bag and took out the object in question. What the heck? It was a small toy that looked exactly like a neutral chow, with its eyes and weight even matching them. But looking at it, it was way more advanced with joints on its arm and legs. The toy had 2 eyes which were closed and a mouth that was formed into a thin line. Looking at the wings, they were yellow and looked like the wings of a jet plane. Naruto examined the toy before he noticed something about it. He saw a hole on the back of its head, like you should put something in it. There was something else he noticed too. While it was still a toy and mechanical, it honestly felt and looked like an actual chow that was sleeping. Wait a minute, the Guardian looked at Amachao, seeing a similar hole on the back of his head. He turned back to the toy with widened eyes before an excited smile. Amachao, come with me real quick. Amachao and the others stopped what they were doing and turned to Naruto. Why? He got his answer when the Guardian stretched his hand and grabbed him. Just come on, we'll be back. Everyone, the demigod jumped off the altar, leaving behind a confused group as they watched him vanish with the screaming Amachao. They waited for a good 10 minutes before they heard the sound of footsteps. They looked at the stairs and saw Naruto now sporting a new whole look. He now wore royal blue pants with an emblem, resembling a light blue spiral, on the ends. He wore a matching colored open blue and light blue trimmed shirt that exposed his muscular body with a blue sash wrapped around it. To finish it, he proudly wore his pendant as the sun reflected off of it. "So what do you guys think?" Naruto asked curiously. Zhao the Chow agreed as well as they danced around him. "Good," Zane said, giving Naruto a thumbs up. Kia however stared at Naruto, her mouth gaped open in surprise as a blush appeared on her face. Her eyes went down from his feet, which she noticed had blue ankle wraps, to his body, which made her blush increase further, and to his face. "Oh ancients above, he is so, Kia." Hey Kia, hearing snapping noises knocked her out of her dazed blushing expression. She shook her head and slapped her cheeks before noticing Naruto in front of her face. "Hey, you alright? Your face is red." She blushed brightly at the closeness and saw he was about to use his forehead to touch hers to check her temperature. "I'm fine," Kia suddenly screamed as she comically pushed Naruto away from her, making him move his arms comically and turned around to hide her blushing face. She coughed into her fist. "Anyway, what happened to Amachao?" Naruto looked a bit confused at Kia's strange reaction but just shrugged his shoulders and coughed in his fist. "Ladies, gentlemen and various creatures that's here," his announcement got curious looks from everyone. "I, Naruto Kyosu, am proud to present to you the new and improved Amachao 2.0. They heard what sounded like a boom coming from the sky. They looked up and saw something flying towards them before it stopped right next to Naruto. "Ah-da, the new Amachao," yelled happily, showing everyone his new look. "Oh Amachao," Kia asked curiously. Is that you?" Amachao now looked incredibly different than he did moments ago. His new body looked way more advanced than his old almost broken down he was in moments before. He has normal looking yellow eyes and a moving mouth that wasn't in a permanent smile. Instead of the fan he had on his head, he now had the yellow glowing dot of the neutral Chow, and the key on his back was replaced by jet-like wings that were emitting a bluish-white light. "Yup," Amachao said happily as he looked at his new body with other Chow surrounding him to take a closer look. "Just look at me everyone, now I'm a really real Chow." Zane looked surprised by this as he turned to Naruto. "Where did you get that body?" "Kia's grandma," Naruto answered, getting Kia's attention as she looked dumbfounded. "My grandma?" "Yeah. She said she found it on the beach the other day and kept hold of it," Naruto said, watching Amachao have fun with his new body. "I think those ancients made it for him when they found his damaged body a long time ago. It may have been washed up when the lab got destroyed." Kia continued to look dumbfounded by this before she sighed and shook her in amusement. "I swear that old woman is something else." She looked at the Master Emerald and jumped on it, sitting cross-legged on it. "Come on, Naruto." Naruto looked curious at Kia, wondering what she was up to. He shrugged his shoulders and jumped on the emerald, sitting cross-legged as well. "Okay, now just hold my hands and close your eyes." Kia instructed him as he did so. "Can you sense the emeralds right now?" "Yeah. I can sense both the emeralds and the Chaos Warriors." "Do you still have that blue emerald?" Kia asked. The blue emerald appeared and was circling them. "Good, so what we're going to do is simple. We're going to choose which of the Chaos Warriors to go after first. However, instead of us traveling to each of the countries, which obviously takes weeks, we're going to use Chaos Control in order to teleport us to where both the emeralds and the warriors are at. Right? So which of the Chaos Warriors are we going to fight first?" Naruto had to be smart about this. "And I, Frost, Zenon, Gaia and Vayu. 5 elemental versions of Chaos, each having a Chaos Emerald in each of the country of their elemental namesake. This reminds me of those RPG video games I've played on the Dreamcast. Yeah, that's it. Just think of it like a video game. He's the main character hero, Kia is the wizard fighter, and Zane is the warrior berserker. The Chow, wisps and little critters were considered the mascot support summons. They'll also run into small enemies to no doubt level them up and gain EXP points. The Chaos Warriors were the bosses, and Tyrios is considered the final boss. And every boss, especially the elemental ones, has a weakness against other elementals. They are made up of fire, earth, lightning, wind, air and ice, while Naruto is water and Tyrios is a combination of water and darkness. And if what that ancient told him was true. Gosh, Naruto opened his eyes and a grin formed on his face. "We're going after an eye." Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.